Chapter 1926. Seeing Qi Ling's silent expression, Qi Ba's tone softened. Second brother, there are so many women in the world. Since your brother has taken a liking to her, why not give this woman to him? She should go to third brother to receive punishment. It was just a woman. He could have as many women as he wanted. Why would second brother bully his own brother for a woman? Qi Ling smiled coldly. Woman. Then do you know that this woman you speak of not only managed to kill the heavenly god from Drifting Wind Nation, but she also came out unscathed? The entire hall sucked in a breath of cold air at Qi Ling's words. As far as they knew, the person who injured the third prince was a young woman in her 20s. She had the strength to defeat a god at such a young age. How horrifying was she? The woman you speak of can make Qi Su listen to her. She is also the master of the spirit-gathering medicinal hall. Qi Ling of the Qi clan could not cultivate since she was young. She is also the woman you look down on. She used her superb medical skills to cure her. Perhaps you do not know who Qi Ling is. However, when the Emperor of Drifting Wind Nation fell ill, everyone was helpless. You should know this, right? She was also the one who cured Mu Zhintian. Qi Ling did not understand. What right did his father have to look down on women? Did he not know that the woman he looked down on was terrifyingly strong? You want to make a move on her? Sure. The Emperor of Drifting Wind Nation views her as his benefactor. If you hurt her and news of this spreads to Drifting Wind Nation, it will lead to a war between the two nations. Actually, Qi Ling wanted to say, look at the Emperor of Drifting Wind Nation, then look at yourself. Can you compare to a tenth of the wise Emperor of Drifting Wind Nation? Qi Ba's expression turned extremely unsightly. He had not expected Yun Luofeng to have such a powerful background. Just the thought of a war between two nations made him afraid, Your Majesty. The beautiful woman in palace attire beside him pouted and large teardrops rolled down her cheeks. She looked pitiful. My beloved concubine, don't worry. We will make it up to third brother. This time, Qi Ba did not mention how to deal with Yun Luofeng. Imperial father, this son is here to discuss another matter. Qi Ling raised his head slightly. It is regarding the four-nation youth competition that will take place in a few months. This son would like to bring some people there. Qi Ba's expression changed slightly. In reality, he only wanted the third prince to go to the competition alone. Furthermore, because of what the imperial advisor had said before, he was very confident that the third prince would be able to win. Therefore, when he heard Qi Ling's words, he said perfunctorily, Your third brother is enough. You don't have to waste time. You won't be the champion anyway, father. The competition doesn't stipulate how many people can participate, nor does it stipulate that each country can only send one team. When the time comes, third royal brother and I can sign up separately. It won't cause too much loss. Under normal circumstances, in order to win, each country would send out several teams. If they were unlucky, perhaps two teams from their own country would meet in the competition and choose one. In other words, if they were lucky, with so many teams, there would definitely be one who would succeed, right? Your Majesty, I think that what the second prince said is reasonable. The ministers in the imperial court agreed. In any case, no matter how many teams go, the kingdom of Tianqi will not lose out, right? That's right, Your Majesty. Let the second prince bring his team. No matter who wins, it will be a blessing for the kingdom of Tianqi. Chapter 1927. Seeing that all the ministers had said so, Qi Ba could not be too forceful. He could only maintain a cold expression on his face. Since that's the case, second brother, we allow you to bring people to participate. I hope you don't disappoint us and don't drag your younger brother down. Drag him down. Qi Ling smiled disdainfully. That kind of person who had been hollowed out by wine and women would probably be smashed to smithereens the moment he stepped onto the stage. He really did not know where father got his confidence from to think that he would definitely win. Was it just based on the imperial tutor's words? Even if third brother really had the potential back then, after so many years of father's indulgence and pampering, he had also become a worthless piece of mud. If there's nothing else, court is dismissed. Chi Ba's voice was cold and solemn, his face expressionless. Long live the emperor. All the ministers fell to their knees and respectfully sent Chi Ba off. After Chi Ba had left, they stood up and walked out of the throne room. Somewhere, in a courtyard as beautiful as a mural, a man stood facing the wind on top of a rock garden. He was dressed in black robes and looked very cold. His face, which looked like it had been paralyzed, gradually showed a trace of emotion. This emotion came and went quickly. In just a moment, he had regained his cold expression. Suddenly, the man heard the sound of footsteps behind him. He quickly took out a mask and covered his astonishing face. Master. A man dressed in a yellow dragon robe had stepped forward. His face was full of respect as he greeted him respectfully. The man replied in a low voice. How's the person I asked you to find? Master, I've already asked the imperial family's experts to find him for you. I'm sure we'll have news very soon. The yellow-robed man looked at the man standing in front of him. In a daze, he recalled the scene of this man's first appearance. What kind of god was he? He had descended from the heavens, cold, noble and powerful. Especially when this man's tone was too arrogant. He wanted to subdue his entire country the moment he opened his mouth. This arrogant tone had angered two of the imperial family's experts to the point of fighting him. That battle did not last long. The two imperial family experts were defeated in front of everyone's eyes. As for this man, he was as cold and noble as when he first appeared. Even his hair was not messed up. It was as if the battle just now was as simple as waving his hand. It was also from that day onwards that the high and mighty emperor himself had been reduced to his slave. Thinking of this, the yellow-robed man had the urge to cry, but in front of this man, he did not dare to show any dissatisfaction. You have 3 days. Find her within 3 days, or else, your Purple Moon Kingdom will no longer exist. The man's voice was cold and ruthless, like a heavy hammer. It hit the Purple Moon Kingdom's emperor's heart, making his heart tremble. Yes, master, I'll send more people to help you find them. The Purple Moon Kingdom's emperor resisted the urge to cry. He respectfully cupped his fists, turned around and hurriedly left the courtyard. After he left, the man took off his mask, revealing his handsome face. Feng wait for me. It won't be long before I return to your side. Under the azure sky, the figure of a woman that was as beautiful as a painting seemed to appear, causing his cold eyes to gradually soften. Chapter 1928. The Purple Moon Kingdom. In the imperial palace, the man in the dragon robe flicked his long sleeves and slowly walked towards the cabinet. At this moment, a burst of laughter came from the front, causing his brows to wrinkle tightly. When the palace maids saw the man in the dragon robe coming, they were shocked and hurriedly knelt in a row and said in unison, "Greetings, Your Majesty." Perhaps it was the voice of the palace maids that made the girl who was laughing like a bell stop. She saw the man in the dragon robe walking quickly and playfully stuck out her tongue. "Father, why are you here? This girl looks delicate and charming, her eyes are full of spirit, but even so, it can't hide her inherent pride." Feng The man in the dragon robe frowned coldly. He waved his hand and signaled the other people present to retreat. Then he said in a serious voice, "You're messing around with the group of palace maids and eunuchs in these places again. If you have this leisure time, why don't you learn etiquette? Father will give you to the Ghost Emperor." Father. Qiao Yefeng's face completely changed. "Daughter, don't marry the Ghost Emperor. He's so ugly, he's not worthy of me at all. The man's face suddenly became cold. What nonsense are you talking about? How did you know that the Ghost Emperor is ugly? Qiao Yefeng snorted, her tone was full of disdain. If he's not ugly, why does he wear a mask? Even so, with the Ghost Emperor's strength, he's more than enough to match you. The man in the dragon robe glanced at Qiao Yefeng. To be honest, the Ghost Emperor recently asked me to find a woman. That woman's relationship with him is not simple. I never thought of letting you be his wife. From the beginning, I wanted to give you to him as a concubine. With a swish, Qiao Yefeng's face turned pale and her body staggered a little. She couldn't believe her father who once loved her so much. Why? Why did father want to give her to him as a concubine? A man who doesn't even dare to see people, why would he want to take her as a concubine? Father, did the Ghost Emperor ask you to come to me? Qiao Yefeng quickly regained her composure. She gritted her teeth and said, go tell him that he can forget about it. I will never marry an ugly man. Looking at Qiao Yefeng's unyielding expression, the dragon-robed man's eyes turned cold. This emperor is telling you, this matter is not up to you. Guards, take the princess away and detain her. Without my order, she is not allowed to take 2 steps out of the room. Hearing this, 2 guards stepped forward, intending to drag Qiao Yefeng away. Qiao Yefeng struggled with all her might, her face flushed with anger. Imperial father, not to mention being a concubine, I won't even be a wife. Go and tell him to give up. The man in the dragon robe didn't seem to hear Qiao Yefeng's words as he coldly watched the 2 guards take her away. From afar, Qiao Yefeng's angry voice could be heard, Ghost Emperor, you bastard who dares to spy on this princess. This princess will never forgive you. An ugly freak like you wants to. Ugh. The man in the dragon robe was obviously frightened by Qiao Yefeng's words. Before she could say anything more excessive, he directly asked the guards to cover her mouth. At this moment, a layer of cold sweat had already appeared on his forehead. Fortunately, the Ghost Emperor doesn't live in the palace. Otherwise, if these words were heard by him, the whole Purple Moon Kingdom would be doomed. Qiao Yefeng has been determined to die. It must be the Ghost Emperor who coveted her beauty, that's why he asked his father to force her. Otherwise, how could her father propose to make her a concubine for no reason? Chapter 1929. Even if the Ghost Emperor is strong, she will never like an ugly monster. Unfortunately, Qiao Yefeng couldn't resist and was directly dragged back to the princess palace by the guards and imprisoned. She was so angry that she swept all the tea bowls on the table to the ground, her chest undulating. The Ghost Emperor is really not a thing. I don't know where he got the courage to peep at this princess. This princess is the most beautiful woman in the Purple Moon Kingdom. How can an ugly monster match me? Princess, the palace maid on the side carefully glanced at Qiao Yefeng. After the Ghost Emperor came to the Purple Moon Kingdom, he asked His Majesty to send someone to find a woman. So, according to this servant, that woman must be the Ghost Emperor's lover. Maybe it's just His Majesty acting on his own initiative to make the princess. Even though Qiao Yefeng is unruly and willful, she will not bully the servants. Therefore, this palace maid dared to say such words in front of Qiao Yefeng. Tsk, Qiao Yefeng sneered, her eyes were full of disdain. Do you think, as an ugly woman, how good can she be? Can she be compared to this princess? When the Ghost Emperor fought with the 2 strong men, this princess was also present. He must have noticed this princess at that time. Qiao Yefeng gritted her teeth in hatred. If he has the ability, he should pursue this princess by normal means. How dare he let Imperial Father threaten me? The more he does this, the more this princess hates him. The palace maid lowered her head and no longer spoke. She always felt that the Ghost Emperor, such a powerful and frightening man, would not fall in love with her at first sight as the princess said. Moreover, such a man will certainly disdain to use power to force a woman. Qiao Yefeng took a deep breath. Moreover, in this world, the man who can make this princess look at him must not only be strong, but also peerless. The Ghost Emperor is not worthy of me. But, His Majesty, he. The palace maid said in a cautious tone. Before she finished speaking, she was interrupted by Qiao Yefeng's fierce voice. In his dreams, I will never give in. The palace maid bowed her head deeply again. She always felt that His Majesty will not give up easily. At the same time, in the study, the man in dragon robes, Xiao Yun, was holding a book in his hand. Beside him, a beautiful woman dressed in palace robes was serving him a cup of tea. Empress, Xiao Yun sighed. Go back and persuade Feng Er. If she is willing to become the Ghost Emperor's concubine, then the Ghost Emperor will stay in our Purple Moon Kingdom forever. The Empress was taken aback for a moment. Feng has always been a proud girl. I'm afraid it will be hard for her to accept being someone's concubine. Moreover, will the Ghost Emperor agree to this? This concubine is worried that giving him a concubine will anger that man. Xiao Yun chuckled. Isn't it normal for a man to have 3 or 4 wives? It was even more impossible for a powerful man like the Ghost Emperor to only have one woman. If I send him away, he will only thank me. Why would he be angry? However, the most important thing right now is to appease Feng Er so that she doesn't offend the Ghost Emperor. Yes, Your Majesty. The Empress lowered her head. Suddenly, the man's eyes appeared in her mind. They were cold, like a bottomless abyss, filling her with fear and struggle. Such a man, will he really accept Feng Er as a concubine? In fact, the Empress's heart was not sure and vaguely there was a burst of worry. However, the Emperor's decision, no one can change it. She can only listen to him. Chapter 1930. State of Tianqi. The second prince's residence. Qi Ling was just about to step out of the residence when he bumped into a woman walking towards him. He was momentarily stunned. Miss Yun, I was just about to look for you when you came. I'm here to ask, when should we set off? Yun Luofeng's eyes stared evilly at Qi Ling as she asked slowly. As the 4-nation competition will be held in Wind Cloud City, which is very far from the state of Tianqi, we will have to set off in about 3 days. Wind Cloud City. Yun Luofeng's eyes flashed. This continent was called the Wind Cloud Continent. Could it be related to Wind Cloud City? Qi Su, who had been following behind Yun Luofeng, was startled when he heard this. When my master came to the Wind Cloud Continent from another continent, he was in Wind Cloud City. Hearing this, Yun Luofeng fell into deep thought. She stroked her chin with her finger. In that case, tell me about the situation in Wind Cloud City. All right, follow me. Let's go to the study and talk. Qi Ling's study was very simple. The bookshelves were filled with books, and a faint fragrance wafted from them. After he walked into the study, he had the guards bring over 2 stools and place them under Yun Luofeng and Qi Su so that they could sit down. Lady Yun, Sir Qi Su, I'm not too sure about the specifics of Wind Cloud City. I'm guessing that only my imperial father knows the inside story. Qi Ling's expression was solemn. However, I know that Wind Cloud City is the sacred land of the Wind Cloud Continent. If Wind Cloud City exists, the continent will also exist. Once Wind Cloud City is destroyed, the entire Wind Cloud Continent and everyone will disappear. Yun Luofeng fell silent. She remembered that the woman from the Qin family who had been captured on the God Vault Mountain had said that the Spirit God Continent existed because someone had set up a formation many years ago to separate the 2 worlds. Furthermore, all the spiritual energy on the continent had been absorbed into the Spirit God Continent. Based on this, the Wind Cloud Continent and the Spirit God Continent were similar. And Wind Cloud City was the heart of the formation. If the heart of the formation was destroyed, the wind cloud continent would naturally disappear. As for these people, it was impossible for them to be destroyed by the heavenly Tao. They would probably enter the 7 continents. There were too many experts in the windy cloud continent. If they were allowed to go to the 7 continents, it would definitely cause a commotion. She had too many relatives on the 7 continents. She would not allow such a thing to happen. What else? Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes, and a cold glint flashed across his eyes. Qi Ling muttered to himself for a while, the people of the continent are afraid of accidentally destroying Wind Cloud City. Hence, to everyone, Wind Cloud City is a dead city. Other than during the 4-nation youth competition, no one is allowed to enter Wind Cloud City at any other time. Have you been to Wind Cloud City? Yun Luofeng thought for a moment before continuing to ask. Until now, I have never entered Wind Cloud City, so I don't know what Wind Cloud City looks like. Hearing this, Yun Luofeng did not ask any further. Even if he did, he would not be able to obtain any useful information from Qi Ling, however. Qi Ling paused for a moment before continuing. When you enter Wind Cloud City, there's a place that you absolutely cannot enter. What place? Yun Luofeng's eyes brightened. Chapter 1931. Wind Cloud City's Sacrificial Ground. Qi Ling paused for a moment before continuing. Actually, no one has been there before. It is said that the sacrificial ground is surrounded by lightning. Once you enter, you will be attacked by the lightning. Furthermore, this lightning is even more terrifying than the lightning we encountered when we were breaking through. Yun Luofeng's mouth twitched. Even more terrifying than lightning? That was because they had never seen real lightning before. If she did not have the protection of the dragon scale armor and the puppet's ability to absorb lightning, she would have been killed by the lightning. Therefore, Yun Luofeng felt that no matter how terrifying that lightning was, it could not compare to the lightning from that time. How are the preparations going? Yun Luofeng suddenly asked. Qi Ling answered honestly, I have already selected all the elites in my hands. We will not lose this 4-nation youth competition. When he said the last sentence, his voice suddenly became very domineering. He had the demeanor of a ruler. Compared to the 3rd prince, the 2nd prince, Qi Ling, was clearly more capable of leading the nation of Tianqi to the peak. Wait for me at the city gates in 3 days. We will set off together then. After saying this, Yun Luofeng took one last look at Qi Ling before turning to leave. Qi Su followed behind her, and they soon disappeared from the study room. 3 days later. At the city gates, Cici was muttering. Qi Ling was getting ready to set off when he suddenly saw the 3rd prince, Qiyu, leading a group of people over. When their eyes met, sparks flew. Qiyu's eyes were filled with anger and disdain. He looked down at Qi Ling, who was standing in front of him. Why? Has your hand recovered? Qi Ling laughed coldly and asked expressionlessly. When he heard this, Qiyu's expression changed completely. He clenched his left hand tightly, but his right hand dangled weakly by his leg. Second royal brother, even if my hand is crippled, I still have the strength to become the champion of the 4-nation youth competition. As for you. Qiyu's lips curled up in disdain. You are just sent by royal father to make up the numbers. Imperial mother had said that Qi Ling was going to Wind Cloud City because imperial father had sent him to make up the numbers. He could not possibly win. Because, back then, the imperial tutor had said that he would definitely be a person who would unify the 4 kingdoms. Compared to him, who was outstanding, Qi Ling would definitely be even more inferior. Really? Qi Ling smirked and glanced at his opponent's crippled arm. You've already lost an arm. How are you going to win? Qiyu took 2 steps forward, raised his chin high, and said in a domineering manner, although this prince was also worried at the beginning, it's a good thing that imperial concubine mother's words are very reasonable. It's not like you don't know the imperial preceptor of our kingdom of Tianqi. Even though the Imperial Preceptor is very weak, his prophecies have always been very accurate. Since he said that I am a person who can unify the 4 countries, then no matter what I become, I will win. His expression was very confident, as if he was certain that he would win. In fact, Qi Ling was well aware of the Imperial Tutor's capabilities. Especially after all these years, the Imperial Tutor had managed to maintain his youthful appearance. Based on this alone, one could tell that the Imperial Tutor was not a simple character. However, the Imperial Preceptor's prophecy was more than 10 years ago. More than 10 years could completely change a person. Even if Qi Yu really had this talent, he had long become a hedonistic son of rich parents after being spoiled for so many years. Chapter 1932. How could such a hedonistic son unite the 4 countries? Then in this world, there was no such thing as trash. Qi Ling could not be bothered to speak to him anymore because he had already noticed Yun Luofeng and Qi Su walking over. However, behind the 2 of them was a youth. Compared to the relaxed expressions of the 2 people in front, the youth was laden with bags and his handsome face looked very aggrieved. He was sweating profusely and even walking was very strenuous. Anyone who saw him would feel sorry for him. Miss Yun, do you not have a space ring? Qi Ling looked at the youth who was laden with bags, then turned to Yun Luofeng and asked. With Yun Luofeng's strength, he should not have a space ring. Yun Luofeng shrugged. He likes to train his body. I do not have the heart to refute him, so I allowed him to carry these bags. Mo Qianqing's expression became even more aggrieved. But he understood that Yun Luofeng wanted to use this method to make him retreat. So, he would not do as she wished. The corners of Qi Ling's mouth twitched. Like to train his body. He had never seen anyone train their body in such a way. Humph. Qi Yu's expression darkened and he snorted coldly. Poor is poor, why find excuses? You don't even have a space ring. How can you be so poor? Yun Luofeng raised her eyebrows slightly, her evil smile gradually falling on Qi Yu's face. What? You don't want your left hand either. This threat caused Qi Yu's expression to change greatly. Perhaps he thought of Yun Luofeng's terrifying nature and quickly stopped speaking. He was afraid that this woman would attack again. Moreover, when she attacked him, Imperial Father actually did not capture her. Even Imperial Mother told him to stay away from this woman. But, he was not satisfied. He was not satisfied with his defeat. Just wait and see. Throwing down these harsh words, Qi Yu led his group of subordinates out of the city gates. After he left, Qi Ling then said, Miss Yun, we should also leave. All right. Yun Luofeng nodded. Let's go. Finishing, she brushed her long sleeves and led the way towards the city gates. Yun Luofeng and the others did not know that behind them, a pair of venomous eyes were coldly staring at them. This is the woman who hurt my son. The noblewoman gripped her handkerchief so tightly that she almost broke it. Her eyes were vicious and sinister as she stared at the departing people. Your Highness, she is the woman who broke the 3rd prince's hand. Humph. This consort won't take this woman's life for now. Once this consort's son rules over the 4 countries, it will be the time of her death. The imperial consort raised her chin slightly. Also, get the experts from the royal family to disguise themselves as bandits to ambush these people. However, tell them not to touch Qi Ling and that woman for now. Only kill his subordinates and let Qi Ling and that woman go to Wind Cloud City alone. Even though she knew that it was impossible for Qi Ling to win, she still wanted him to lose miserably. For the 4-nation youth competition, teamwork was extremely important. Otherwise, without a team, no matter how talented a single person was, it was impossible to win. A cold light flashed across the imperial consort's eyes at the thought of this. Her lips curled into a sinister smile. The journey from the Tianqi nation to Wind Cloud City was very long. Along the way, they had to pass through many dangerous mountain ranges. Fortunately, the people that Qi Ling brought this time were the elites of the team. There was no need for Yun Luofeng to do anything personally. Chapter 1933. Miss Yun, once we pass through this mountain range, we will soon reach Wind Cloud City. Qi Ling turned to look at the white-robed girl beside him and said. Yun Luofeng nodded slightly. Wait for me here. I will leave and return shortly. Qi Ling and the others were already used to Yun Luofeng disappearing for half a day at every mountain range. Thus, they did not say much and allowed her to leave. Of course, Yun Luofeng's departure was not for anything else, but there were many rare treasures on the Wind Cloud continent. Even the medicinal ingredients were of the highest quality than those on the 7 continents. Especially on such a mountain range, there were many precious medicinal ingredients. Thus, Yun Luofeng would gather all the precious medicinal ingredients on the mountain range every time she went to a place. Looks like it's about time. After Yun Luofeng collected the last medicinal ingredient, she looked at the gradually darkening sky and muttered to herself, those people should have rested enough. I should go back. Thinking of this, she turned around and was about to leave. But at this moment, the sound of a flute traveled over. Her pupils suddenly shrank and she raised her head to look in front of her. It was a young man dressed in white. His black hair was like a splash of ink, spreading out behind him. Countless birds circled above his head, circling incessantly as if they were playing along with his music. A faint maple leaf fell and landed on the young man's shoulder. He was like a person from a painting, giving off an extremely ethereal and unreal feeling. But this young man was not like Qin Yuqing's banished immortal. Although Qin Yuqing looked like a celestial being, she still gave people a feeling that she was a real existence. But the young man playing the jade flute in front of her had really walked out from the Mishti land. He was not very real. Yun Luofeng's heart was fiercely pounded. She covered her chest with her hand, as if a surge of emotion was gushing out. However, Yun Luofeng clearly knew that this kind of surging emotion did not originate from her own body. Zhu Qian? Zhu Qian had once told her that if she met his reincarnation one day, she would be able to recognize him at a glance. Now, the moment she saw this young man, she had a feeling in her heart. He was Zhu Qian. He was the Zhu Qian that she had been searching for all this time. Suddenly, the youth lifted his foot and left. That snow-white robe disappeared from Yun Luofeng's sight. Zhu Qian. Yun Luofeng called from behind him. Unfortunately, the youth did not turn around. In the blink of an eye, he had already disappeared into the forest. The birds that had been circling the sky also dispersed at this moment. Master, Little Mo's confused voice sounded, is he really Zhu Qian? I remember that the Zhu Qian in the painting was not such a person. Back then, when Yun Luofeng obtained Zhu Qian's inheritance, he also saw a painting. The man in the painting was dressed in red, sitting on a black dragon chair. His left hand was supporting his chin, and his right hand was pointing a middle finger at the sky, implying that even the heavens were not worthy of his attention. How could such a proud and powerful man be that white-robed youth? The two of them had completely different styles. I have a feeling that he is Zhu Qian. Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes. No wonder I couldn't find him even after searching the 7 continents. So he's in the Wind Cloud continent. This makes things easier. As long as he exists, I'll definitely find him again. Chapter 1934. Little Mo remained silent. Since Yun Luofeng felt that this young man was Zhu Qian, then it was very likely that he was. Master, it's getting late, Little Mo urged. She did not know why, but she felt a faint sense of unease in her heart. It was as if something big was about to happen. Yun Luofeng seemed to have sensed something and hurried towards the direction of the kingdom of Tian Qi's army. As these soldiers had just experienced a battle, they were resting in their original positions. Little Mo took this opportunity to leave the group to pick medicinal herbs. At this moment, in the forest, the setting sun was dyed red with blood. Qi Ling gripped his sword tightly in his hand. His face was stained with blood, and his gaze was very ferocious. Qi Su protected Mo Qianqing behind him as he faced this group of vicious and evil people with a solemn expression on his handsome face. More than half of the army was dead or injured. The remaining people would not be able to hold on for long. Second Prince, I don't think these people are bandits. Qi Su used his sword to block the attack, his voice cold. Looking at the group of people in front of him whose faces were covered, and even whose aura was concealed, Qi Ling let out a cold laugh. He wiped the blood off his face, and the curve of his lips was somewhat sinister. Are you people sent by Imperial Concubine Lin? Imperial Concubine Lin was the mother of the third prince, Qi Yu. Other than her, he could not think of anyone else. The group of people did not utter a word. Their attacks became more and more ferocious. They were even more merciless towards Qi Ling's elite troops. Qi Ling's heart gradually became anxious, and his heart was filled with anger. His elite troops, which he had trained for many years, were now completely annihilated here. No! He would never allow this to happen. Young Master Qi Su, take the others and escape. I will hold them off. Qi Ling gritted his teeth and said. He had already sensed that these people did not want to hurt him. After all, he was a prince of the kingdom of Tianqi. If anything were to happen to him, no one would be able to bear the consequences. However, they were merciless towards their own subordinates. It was easy to guess that Imperial Concubine Lin wanted him to be a commander without an army. This way, they would definitely lose the hegemony competition. What a good plan. Qi Ling sneered. How could he let that woman succeed in her evil scheme? I'm afraid I can't do it. Qi Su took 2 steps back. I don't know if the second prince has noticed that there are 2 other auras that haven't appeared yet. Those 2 auras must belong to enlightened masters. I still have no way of escaping under their attacks, so I can only wait for Lady Yun's return. Qi Ling's eyes turned cold. In every country, there was a group of elders. Those who were able to join the group were all heavenly gods. Furthermore, the Council of Elders was an extremely important existence to the princes. Therefore, whether it was him or Imperial Concubine Lin's group, they had all tried to rope in the Council of Elders. These Empyrean gods were obviously Imperial Concubine Lin's subordinates. More importantly, these Empyrean gods had left the state of Tianqi, but the 2 people he had roped in from the elder group didn't send any news. If not for Father Emperor's permission, how could the matter of the God of Heaven leaving the group of elders on his own be concealed? Thinking of this, Qi Ling's eyes became colder and colder, and his heart felt cold. Most of the elites were already dead, and only a few were bitterly holding on. As for the 2 heavenly gods hiding in the dark, they still hadn't shown themselves. Chapter 1935. If Qi Su had not brought many healing elixirs with him, they would have long been annihilated. Mo Qianqing had been standing behind Qi Su all along. As he watched the group of murderous experts, his eyes shone with an obscure glint. Should he try his luck? Perhaps the seal would be undone. He suddenly made a decision. He walked around Qi Su and walked towards the group of black-clad experts. The black-clad experts naturally thought that Mo Qianqing was Qi Ling's subordinate and immediately attacked him. Mo Qianqing closed his eyes. A powerful pressure locked onto him. A fatal sense of danger came head-on, causing his entire body to be in a gale like a small boat. What are you trying to do? Qi Su's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly grabbed Mo Qianqing's arm and tried to pull him away. But at this moment, the black-clad expert who attacked Mo Qianqing was engulfed in raging flames. Shortly after, he turned into ashes in front of everyone's eyes. The aura that locked onto him had already disappeared. The sense of danger that he had just felt also disappeared without a trace. Mo Qianqing opened his eyes angrily. He was just about to see who had spoiled his plans when he suddenly met a pair of ice-cold eyes. His heart trembled at that moment. He opened his mouth, but couldn't say a word. In reality, it was not that Enchanting had never thought of using this method to undo the seal. Unfortunately, ever since he came here, he rarely met any true experts. Ordinary people couldn't kill him, let alone give him a sense of danger. Only that sense of danger could allow him to forcefully break the seal. He did not expect that the first time he implemented this plan, it would be discovered by Enchanting. Enchanting wanted to explain, but saw that the woman in white had already turned around and swept her cold gaze across the black-clad experts present. Killing to your heart's content. Her voice was very cold, as if it came from hell, causing people to tremble with fear. Then now, it's my turn. Boom! Before those black-clad experts could react, a gale surged from the woman in white. Wherever the gale passed, not an inch of soil remained. Run! Anyway, most of the people were dead, and their mission was completed. Therefore, the black-clad experts did not hesitate and turned to flee. Go! It's too late. Boom! An earth-shattering pressure pressed down from the void. Those people's bodies trembled, and they couldn't help but stop in their tracks. In the meantime, the woman had already appeared behind them. She held a sharp, ice-cold weapon in her hand and slit the throat of the person closest to her. In an instant, that person's blood splattered on the spot. Her speed was too fast, so fast that no one could react. When they came back to their senses, the man was already dead. Chi-Su and the others finally felt relieved. As long as she was back, none of these people would be able to escape. Stop! After Enchanting dealt with two more people, the two heavenly gods hiding in the dark finally made their move. Two figures appeared in the void. One of them was dressed in a white robe and had the demeanor of an immortal. The other was dressed in a gray robe and looked rather mysterious. Miss, where it is possible to let people off, one should forgive them. The white-robed old man said indifferently, why must you be so ruthless towards these people? How could Enchanting not see that these two old men were in cahoots with the group of murderous black-clothed men? Where it is possible to let people off, forgive them. Ruthless. Enchanting laughed. Then what about their actions of killing people just now? I'm just taking revenge. A life for a life. They deserve to die. Chapter 1936. The white-robed elder's eyes darkened. I didn't see them kill anyone. I only saw you kill them. I had no choice but to come out and stop you. Oh. Does that mean that the people who died around me committed suicide? Or did they kill each other? Enchanting narrowed his eyes and laughed coldly. The white-robed elder's face was indifferent. That's hard to say. Are you stupid, or do you think that everyone in the world is stupid? It's obvious that my people were killed by this group of people. Are you still lying through your teeth? Enchanting laughed coldly as he approached the two elders. Tell me, who sent you? Hearing this, the white-robed elder did not even raise his eyes. I don't know this group of people. I was just passing by and saw that you were bullying the weak. I couldn't stand it anymore, so I interfered. What if I insist on killing them? Enchanting's eyes flashed with a dangerous light as his lips curled into a cold smile. Then don't blame me for being unreasonable. The white-robed elder's tone was as indifferent as ever. He had already stretched out his hand and attacked Enchanting. The two elders had already heard of Enchanting's strength from Imperial concubine Lin. Naturally, they did not dare to underestimate him. Therefore, after the white-robed elder attacked, the gray-robed elder also moved. The two of them did not hold back. Once they started fighting, they would give it their all. If anyone stops me from killing, I will kill that person today. Yun Luofeng's voice was domineering and pierced through the clouds, bringing a wave of echoes. At the same time, she summoned her dragon-scale armor. With a long sword in her hand, she quickly rushed in front of the two elders. The entire void trembled because of their battle. Chi Su stood in the forest and watched Yun Luofeng fight in the void. His eyes were full of worry. That's not right. Qi Ling frowned slightly. I've seen all the divine realm experts in the royal family. I don't know these two people. Chi Su was stunned. He turned to look at Qi Ling. Could it be that they weren't sent by Imperial concubine Ling? No, I feel that it was her. Only she would do such a thing. Qi Ling shook his head and said. Then what's going on? Chi Su frowned. When Enchanting heard their conversation, he couldn't help but interject, have you not heard of the appearance-changing technique? A person could even change their aura, so it was normal for them to change their appearance. After all, since the imperial concubine had done such a thing, she definitely didn't want anyone to use her against her. As such, she naturally asked these people to disguise themselves. As Enchanting thought about it, he couldn't help but look at Yun Luofeng, who was fighting with the two elders in the sky. No one knew what he was thinking in his pitch-black eyes, within the void. Yun Luofeng could no longer deal with it as easily as before. Even though she had once defeated a heavenly god, that was only because her opponent was alone. Now, there were two standing in front of her. Moreover, the dragon-scale armor had a time limit. She had to finish them off within this time. Otherwise, once she lost the dragon-scale armor, she would be even more unable to deal with them. Bang! The gray-robed old man suddenly appeared behind Yun Luofeng and punched her in the back. She fell a few meters forward. She slightly raised her head and narrowed her eyes with a hint of coldness. Miss Yun. Chi Su's heart clenched. He hated himself. If it wasn't for the fact that he was too weak, he wouldn't have been so helpless at this time. There were 3 more chapters in the afternoon. Chapter 1937. Young lady, do you know a saying? The white-robed elder looked at the lady in front of him and said calmly, Karma is in the cycle of the heavens. You killed someone just now, so you must pay the price now. Yun Luofeng wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and smiled slightly. Then let me give you a saying as well. Those who are unjust are doomed to destruction. Hearing this, the white-robed elder's expression turned cold and he snorted. You have a sharp tongue. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being impolite. Boom! In an instant, the white-robed elder's aura surged out once again and engulfed the entire void. At this moment, the sky had also turned gray and hazy. In mid-air, Yun Luofeng held a long sword in her hand and stood against the wind. Her expression was calm as her fine black hair fluttered in the wind. Master, let Azure Wings and Little Worm come out and help. Little Mo's worried voice rang out from Yun Luofeng's soul. Little Worm and Azure Wings had already broken through to become a deity. Moreover, one of them was an ancient ancestral dragon and the other was an immortal puppet. Even with the strength of a deity, they could deal with a sky god. But, Yun Luofeng shook her head indifferently. No, I can still hold on. Moreover, I reached a bottleneck a few days ago. Perhaps this battle can help me break through. Yes, from the beginning, Yun Luofeng had been prepared to deal with these 2 old men. Even if she couldn't do it, she still had Little Worm and Azure Wings. Unfortunately, she had already reached a bottleneck this time, so she decided to deal with the 2 of them on her own. Boom! As soon as Yun Luofeng finished speaking, the attacks of the white-robed elder and the gray-robed elder closed in on her. She hurried to meet the 2 old men head-on. The battle in the void became more and more intense, and the people below also became nervous. Enchanting's gaze was fixed on Yun Luofeng, who was fighting with the 2 old men. A red light gradually appeared in his pitch-black eyes. His fists were clenched tightly, and his youthful and handsome face was filled with anger. Yes, anger. Enchanting looked at the besieged woman. Suddenly, the image of that king-like man who had been chased by a group of strong cultivators surfaced in his mind. Bang! At this moment, the grey-robed old man's fist landed heavily on Luofeng's body. Luofeng's body was instantly sent flying like an arrow leaving a bow. No, don't. Enchanting's heart stopped beating at this moment. His eyes were filled with red light, and his long silver hair danced in the wind. His expression was terrifying, and he didn't look like the innocent and harmless young man he used to be. Kill. Kill all of them. Let them accompany us in death. To be buried with them, these two words leapt into Enchanting's mind. His mind also became blank, as if there was only one thought left in his mind: everyone present, no matter who it was, deserved to die. Those two deities deserved to die because they had harmed her. The second prince also deserved to die. If he hadn't attracted these people, she wouldn't have been in danger. Patter. The young man stood firmly on the spot. He could even clearly hear the sound of the seal in his body shattering. However, at this moment, there was only the falling figure of the woman in the young man's eyes. His eyes were bloodshot, as if they had been dyed with blood, and they carried a terrifying light. Chi Su and the others were all looking at Yun Luofeng. Because of this, no one noticed Enchanting's strange expression. Chapter 1938. Thump. Yun Luofeng's body landed heavily on the ground, creating a large crater. She wiped the blood from the corner of her lips and crawled up from the ground. Without any hesitation, she charged towards the two elders once again. The grey-robed elder's eyes were filled with shock as he said in a gloomy voice, "Little girl, you've made me look at you in a different light. You're still able to stand after receiving such a heavy blow. No wonder you've achieved so much at such a young age." Yun Luofeng raised her head and her pitch-black eyes were filled with light. Continue. This time, she made the first move and charged towards the grey-robed elder who was closest to her. The grey-robed elder dodged to the side and evaded Yun Luofeng's attack. His arm landed heavily on Yun Luofeng's shoulder, causing her to stumble a few steps back. She left a shadow in the sky. At that moment, Yun Luofeng could clearly feel the power of the dragon scale armor weakening. If she did not deal with it soon, she would not be able to defeat these two elders with her own power. "Little girl, it looks like you won't be able to hold on for much longer." In the beginning, Yun Luofeng had been able to evade his attacks. Now that her power was gradually weakening, she was clearly no match for them. However, the grey-robed elder also wanted to end the battle quickly. Hence, he did not give Yun Luofeng any chance to catch her breath and attacked her once again. Boom! A powerful force penetrated her body and caused Yun Luofeng to spit out a mouthful of blood. However, her body remained as hard as steel and showed no signs of collapsing. Continue. She touched the blood at the corner of her lips again and continued. Elder Bai. The grey-robed elder glanced at the white-robed elder and said eerily, "It's getting late, we should leave this place. This time, we don't need to hold back. Let's use all our power to kill her." "All right." The white-robed elder nodded. He slowly raised his hand and a hurricane gradually formed in front of his hand. The hurricane grew larger and larger as if it had the power to destroy heaven and earth, enough to destroy everything. The grey-robed elder did not show any weakness either. The hurricane swirled around him and even his grey robes were swirling in the wind. Forget about the all-out attack of these two old men, even if it was just one of them, this young woman would immediately turn into ashes. In a withered forest, Enchanting's body was unable to move. His body was constantly emitting small cracking noises. Except for him, no one could hear these sounds. And when it saw that Yun Luofeng was in danger, the shattering sounds became faster and faster. With a loud bang, it broke through, Unfortunately, it was too late. The moment Enchanting broke through the seal, the power of the two old men had already closed in on Yunluo Feng, instantly swallowing her body. No. Suddenly, Enchanting's pupils shrank, his voice filled with pain and fear. Miss Yun. Qi Su and Qi Ling's expressions also changed greatly. They quickly rushed towards the place where Yunluo Feng had just been standing. Enchanting stood there in a daze. He looked at the place where Yunluo Feng had been swallowed, then turned to look at Qi Ling, whose face was full of anxiety. In that instant, a powerful killing intent shot out from his narrowed pupils. He clenched his fists tightly and his face contorted in pain. Was he the one who killed Yunluo Feng? That's right. If he had not lured these people here, Yunluo Feng would not have died. Hence, regardless of whether it was the two heaven gods or the people of the kingdom of Tianqi, they would all be buried with her. Chapter 1939. We've finally dealt with this woman. The gray-robed elder snorted coldly and said sinisterly, let's go, we should head back. However, just as the two of them turned around, an evil and domineering voice suddenly rang out from the dust-covered area. Qi Su, get out of the way. The two old men froze when they heard the voice. Qi Su and Qi Ling were stunned for a second before they reacted. They quickly retreated a few hundred meters away. Enchanting's lifeless eyes gradually lit up. He stared at the dust-covered sky, afraid to miss even the slightest bit. When the dust settled, Yunluo Feng's figure slowly appeared. The woman looked a little disheveled, but she still gave off an untainted feeling. The dragon scale armor on her body had completely disappeared, and her white robe had also been destroyed to the point of being tattered. The white-robed elder turned around in shock. His eyes widened and his breathing quickened. You didn't die. How could this be? How could this woman still be alive? Yunluo Feng didn't answer him. He only smiled mysteriously. I have a gift for you. What? Before the two old men could react, they heard a boom and a thundercloud suddenly appeared in the sky. The thundercloud glowed purple and thunder rumbled. Then, without warning, a bolt of lightning suddenly shot down. Ah! The two old men who were close to Yunluo Feng were naturally struck by the lightning as well. They wailed in pain. You broke through. Lightning tribulations only appeared when one broke through to the sky god level. But this woman had actually broken through at this time. I should also thank you. If you hadn't helped me break through the bottleneck, I wouldn't have been able to become a sky god. The white-robed elder was so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He gritted his teeth. Do you think you can kill us with this lightning tribulations? Let me tell you, it's impossible. It's not like I haven't experienced lightning tribulations before. After all, he was also a sky god and had experienced lightning tribulations before. Lightning tribulations alone couldn't kill them. Yunluo Feng smiled evilly. Unfortunately, my lightning tribulations are different from others. Boom, boom, boom. As soon as he finished speaking, another lightning tribulations appeared. This one was even more powerful than the previous one. It struck the two old men directly, causing them to wail in pain. But it wasn't over, the bolts of lightning were even more powerful than before. They rained down, leaving the two old men with no energy left to escape. Ah! The shouts of the two old men rang out one after another, causing everyone present to be dumbfounded. Qi Su stared blankly at the mighty thunder tribulations, his eyes glazed over. Holy! Suddenly, he let out an angry roar. Qi Ling came back to his senses and turned to look at him. What happened? Qi Su's expression kept changing. Almost a year ago, someone near our drifting wind nation broke through to become a deity and triggered a thunder tribulation. That thunder tribulation was so fierce that it shocked all the powerful warriors in the drifting wind nation. Unfortunately, I thought that Lady Yun was just unlucky and was accidentally affected by the lightning tribulations. It seems that he was the one who triggered the lightning tribulations. Thinking of this, Chi Su took a deep breath. He remembered that Drifting Wind Nation had been searching for the powerhouse who triggered such a powerful lightning tribulations. He never thought that the powerhouse would be right beside him. Chapter 1940. Did you see that? Even the sky god powerhouses of the nation of Tianqi couldn't withstand such a lightning tribulation. In comparison, Yun Luofeng was calm and collected. His expression was as if he was drenched in the rain. In fact, no one knew that Yun Luofeng's body was already somewhat overwhelmed by the lightning attacks. However, she had to hold on and not let all her previous efforts go to waste. Fortunately, she had experienced this kind of lightning tribulation before and already had a certain resistance. Compared to the two old men, she was much better off. Girl, you will definitely suffer retribution for being so vicious. The white-robed old man gritted his teeth. Blood was already flowing from the corner of his mouth as he spoke viciously. Yun Luofeng's lips curled into a smile. I was only breaking through. It was you who appeared by my side. The lightning doesn't recognize people, so who can you blame? Indeed, the lightning wasn't Yun Luofeng's instigation. They could only blame their bad luck. Boom! The lightning tribulation was getting stronger and stronger. The two old men finally couldn't hold on any longer and fell to the ground. Using the last of his strength, the old man's voice was filled with anger. Even if we die here, you won't be able to escape. The heavenly Tao won't let you off. This girl's talent was too strong. She actually attracted such a powerful heavenly Tao. If she was allowed to continue growing, the consequences would be unimaginable. After saying that, they had already lost all their strength. Their eyelids slowly became weak. Yun-yi. Just as the two old men lost their ability to resist, Yun Luofeng finally couldn't hold on any longer. Her body swayed as she suddenly called out. Swoosh! In an instant, a mighty and strong figure appeared in front of Yun Luofeng. It appeared out of thin air and blocked the violent lightning attacks. The lightning landed on Yun-yi's burly body, forging his physique until it was very smooth. However, Yun-yi remained expressionless. His expression didn't change at all. A puppet. Qi Ling and the others were stunned as they looked at Yun-yi who blocked the lightning. Then, they saw a shocking scene. The lightning attacks that were originally violent were all absorbed by Yun-yi. After withstanding the lightning, Yun-yi's body emitted a powerful strength. His cold eyes were filled with dominance. A heavenly god. Under the forging of the lightning, this puppet actually became a heavenly god. Qi Ling and the others opened their mouths wide in surprise. Obviously, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. As for the two elders, originally, he was still filled with hope, thinking that Yun Luofeng would also die under the heavenly lightning. But now that he saw this scene, his expression changed greatly, and his eyes filled with fear. Kill them. Yun Luofeng's lips curled up slightly as he said in anger. In an instant, Yun-yi had already rushed in front of the two elders. Because the two elders had already lost their ability to fight, Yun-yi killed them as easily as cutting vegetables. With a swing of his blade, the two old men's chests were pierced by the blade. With the death of the heavenly deity, the others were utterly defeated. Under the threat of the azure wings, no one could escape. Yun Luofeng slowly came back to his senses and walked in front of Qi Su and the others. He looked at the dumbfounded Qi Ling and said, Go and see if you recognize those two people. All right. Qi Ling's eyes were filled with complex emotions, but he was very glad in his heart. He was glad that he had obtained Yun Luofeng's help. Moreover, he was confident that with Yun Luofeng's strength, unifying the Wind Cloud continent was only a matter of time. Chapter 1941. Qi Ling slowly walked in front of the two old men. He lifted his hand and removed the old man's mask. When he saw that familiar face, even though Qi Ling was mentally prepared, he could not help but feel a chill. These two people are indeed from the nation of Tianqi's elder group. Furthermore, they are people who listen to my imperial father's orders. Qi Su looked at Qi Ling and found that his figure was very lonely. At this moment, he actually felt the same way. The current Qi Ling was very similar to him in the past. Fortunately, they had met Yun Luofeng, the benefactor who changed their lives. Miss Yun, Qi Ling turned to look at Yun Luofeng and asked, "These innocent people have followed me for many years. I do not wish to bury them on the spot. Hence, I intend to let the remaining people send them back to the nation of Tianqi and let their souls return to their homeland. As for the four-nation youth competition, I will participate alone." Even if he was alone, he would do his best to obtain victory. Yun Luofeng nodded, "All right, let them return. Furthermore, you will have the opportunity to take revenge for today." Qi Ling did not say anything. He had never expected that his imperial father would do such a thing to make his third royal brother look good. However, after all, he was his biological father. He would definitely feel conflicted about killing his biological father. However, he would not let today's debt go just like that. If that person lived peacefully in the future, he would imprison him after he seized the throne. If he still wanted to do something to him, even if he was his father, he would not forgive him. Qi Ling slowly exhaled and a smile appeared on his handsome face. The four-nation youth competition is about to begin. Let's continue. After saying this, Qi Ling gave instructions to the elites who were born. Those elites bowed and retreated, preparing to bring these dead souls back to their homeland. Qi Ling waved his sleeves, looking carefree and unrestrained. "Imperial Consort Lin, if you want this prince to make your son look good, then you are gravely mistaken. I will definitely become the champion of this four-nation youth competition. I will not give up." Yun Luofeng looked at the confident Qi Ling and felt that he had not misjudged him. Mo Qianqing had been watching Yun Luofeng from the side. He wanted to speak several times but ultimately swallowed his words. "What's the matter?" Yun Luofeng saw that Mo Qianqing had something to say and asked indifferently. Mo Qianqing lowered his head in shame. "I'm sorry I couldn't help you." Now, whenever he thought about how Yun Luofeng had almost been killed by those people, his heart would be filled with terror and anger. However, no matter how angry he was unable to help Yun Luofeng at that time. Furthermore, it was too late to break the seal. If he had been able to break through the seal earlier, perhaps Yun Luofeng would not have encountered such a crisis. "You don't have to apologize. This has nothing to do with you. But you're Zhu Qian. How can I just sit back and watch?" Mo Qianqing knew that Yun Luofeng was estranged from him, so he didn't say this out loud. Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes and asked, "You've seen it for yourself. Following me will be very dangerous. Are you sure you want to follow me?" Mo Qianqing bit her lips. "If I don't follow you, I will be in even more danger. Aren't you afraid that someone will want to kill me, causing me to inadvertently break the seal?" Chapter 1942. In order to stay by her side, he could not tell her that the seal had been broken. Otherwise, this woman would not let him stay. Moreover, seeing that Yun Luofeng was in danger, he could not leave. "Let's go." Yun Luofeng turned to look at Qi Ling and the others. He did not speak to Mo Qianqing. Not long ago, they had come in a mighty group. Now, only the three of them were left. Qi Ling felt a little sad. He took one last look at the remaining elites and forced himself to turn his head. "Let's go." Behind him, the group of iron-blooded soldiers respectfully sent the three off, until their figures completely disappeared. The kingdom of Tianqi. Imperial concubine Lin was lying on a soft couch. Her hair was loose. Even though she was in her middle years, she still looked beautiful because she had taken good care of her body. "Your Highness." At this moment, a panicked figure ran in. "Something bad has happened, Your Highness." The palace maid stumbled over, her face full of panic. Imperial concubine Lin frowned. "What's the matter?" "Your Highness, the experts you sent to kill the second prince's elite troops were completely annihilated." "What?" Imperial concubine Lin felt a sharp pain in her chest. She was so shocked that she immediately sat up, her beautiful face pale and colorless. "What did you just say?" "Completely annihilated." As far as she knew, Yun Luofeng was only a god. Because he had a dragon-scale armor, he could deal with heavenly gods. However, she had sent 2 heavenly gods. Logically, Yun Luofeng could not be their match. "Your Highness, it's true. Our men found the corpses of Elder Bai and the others." Imperial concubine Lin's face paled. She fell to the ground. She bit her lips, her body trembling. How could this be? 2 heavenly gods were not Yun Luofeng's match. How terrifying was that woman's strength? At this moment, Imperial concubine Lin finally felt fear. In her heart, she regretted her decision to send someone over. "In addition, Your Highness, this servant has also heard of another matter. The Jian family's second miss has been crippled." The palace maid said in a trembling voice. "What does this have to do with me?" Imperial concubine Lin was worried about Yun Luofeng's strength. When she suddenly heard the palace maid's words, her expression became somewhat unhappy. "It's like this, Your Highness, a while ago, a man went to the second prince's residence to find Yun Luofeng. He just happened to run into the Jian family's second miss, who was loitering outside the second prince's residence. That Jian family's second miss claimed that Yun Luofeng was unbearably lascivious. First, she seduced Chi Su. Then, she seduced the second prince. In the end, that man crippled the second miss of the Jian family in a fit of rage." Imperial concubine Lin frowned. This man was bold enough to even touch a member of the Jian family. However, how could the person who knew Yun Luofeng be an ordinary person? Speaking of which, this Jian family was really unlucky. Jian Yi first provoked Yun Luofeng, and in the end, he was captured by Yun Luofeng. For the sake of their only daughter, the Jian family had paid a huge price to redeem her. Who knew that Jian Yi would offend someone and get crippled? The Jian family wouldn't be able to exchange her for another fortune. Do you know where that man came from? I'm not sure. I only know that he's wearing a mask, a mask. Imperial concubine Lin thought for a moment. She didn't have any impression of such a person. She waved her hand. "You can leave first. I need to calm down." To the royal family, the strength of an enlightened master was very important. Chapter 1943. Now, the kingdom of Tianqi had lost 2 gods. This was a huge loss for Qiyu, who was about to inherit the kingdom of Tianqi. At this moment, Imperial concubine Lin was still confident that Qiyu would be the successor of the kingdom of Tianqi and the person who would unify the 4 nations. Not far away, in the forest, a cold man in black robes stood on a mountain peak. "Feng wait for me. I will arrive at Wind Cloud City very soon." The woman's picturesque figure appeared in the man's mind. The corners of the man's lips curled up into an arc. It had been more than 10 years since they had met. In these 10 years, they had been apart more than together. However, this did not affect their relationship. No matter where she was, he would always think that she was right in front of him. Wind Cloud City. Normally, it was like a lifeless city without any signs of human habitation. In fact, no one even lived there. But now, Wind Cloud City was bustling with activity. A soldier was standing guard at the city gate. When he saw Yun Luofeng and the other 2 walking over, he frowned slightly. This is Wind Cloud City. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed in. I am the second prince of the kingdom of Tianqi. I am also here to participate in the four-nation youth competition. Qi Ling said indifferently with his hands behind his back. The soldier was stunned. The second prince of the kingdom of Tianqi. Where are your troops? Qi Ling raised his head and looked at the soldier. His voice was indifferent. I do not need subordinates. Did this mean that there were only 3 of them participating? The soldier was shocked. However, the competition did not have a minimum number of participants. Hence, he did not say anything. After Qi Ling produced the evidence, he let him in. The second prince of the kingdom of Tianqi is really strange. Does he think that he can win with just the 3 of them? I heard that the most favored person in the kingdom of Tianqi is the third prince. Maybe the second prince is just here to join in the fun. The 2 soldiers at the gate underestimated the girl and did not say anything else. They started to stand guard at the gate and inspect the people who came. Even though Wind Cloud City was usually uninhabited, it was a beautiful place. Even the relay station was luxuriously built. There were also soldiers at the entrance of the relay station. Hence, Qi Ling produced the evidence again and the soldier let him in. However, just as the 3 of them stepped into the relay station, they saw Qiyu striding towards them. When Qiyu saw Qi Ling appear at the door and saw that there were no soldiers behind him, he couldn't help but laugh. Ha, second imperial brother, where are your elite troops? They wouldn't have died on the road, right? I think your elites are only so-so. They can't even deal with some spirit beasts, and you want to rely on them to win. Qi Ling clenched his fists tightly. Third brother, don't tell me you don't know what happened. A cold glint flashed across Qiyu's eyes. Second brother, I don't know what you mean. What does it have to do with me if something happens to your troops? Don't splash dirty water on me. Otherwise, Imperial Father won't let you off. Qi Ling's eyes turned blood red at the thought of his subordinates' deaths, but in the end, he restrained his emotions. Third royal brother, remember what you have done. One day, I will take my revenge. Qiyu laughed coldly. His eyes flickered and landed on Yun Luofeng's face. Chapter 1944. Originally, he wanted to say a few mocking words. However, when he saw the girl's sinister gaze, he swallowed his words in fright. He waved his hand and gritted his teeth, saying, "Let's go." Humph. I'll let this girl be pleased first. After I unify the 4 nations, I'll definitely make her beg for mercy under me. As if thinking of that scene, Qiyu could not help but laugh sinisterly. He could not hide his pride. The Golden Sun Nation is hosting the 4-nation youth competition this time. They are also the strongest nation among the 4 nations. After Qiyu left, Qi Ling turned to look at Yun Luofeng and explained, furthermore, the Golden Sun Princess of the Golden Sun Nation is very talented. Her subordinates are all very strong as well. They are also strong opponents for us this time. This Golden Sun Princess was able to use the nation's name as her title. This showed her status in the Golden Sun Nation. Qi Ling said this to raise Yun Luofeng's vigilance. However, when he thought of Yun Luofeng's strength, he felt that he was worrying too much. In terms of talent, no one in this world could compare to Yun Luofeng. As a divine spirit, she could fight with a heavenly god. Now that she had broken through to become a heavenly god, she would definitely be even stronger. I'm tired, however, Yun Luofeng had only said that in a lazy tone. There was a sliver of laziness in his expression. Qi Ling laughed involuntarily. The lodgings in the Tianqi nation have already been prepared. Miss Yun, I'll bring you to rest first. All right. Yun Luofeng nodded. Rather than wasting time listening to Qi Ling's nonsense, she might as well consolidate her strength first. Qi Ling did not say anything else. He brought Yun Luofeng to rest first. However, just as they left Yun Luofeng's room, they heard a mocking voice. "Oh, I was wondering who it was. It's actually you. Mu Shuashin, is your father not dead yet?" This voice was filled with mockery, causing Chi Su's expression to change completely. "Second prince, I met an acquaintance. I'll go over first and be back soon." After speaking, his body turned into a gust of wind and rushed to the courtyard at the side. In the courtyard, the young girl had her hands on her hips. She held her head high, and there was a mocking smile on her face as she looked at Mu Shuashin, who she had bet on. Mu Shuashin's expression was very calm, but her clear eyes were surging with rage. "Don't worry, even if all the people in the Purple Moon Kingdom die, my father will still be alive." "Impudent!" Chao Yefeng roared. "Mu Shuashin, who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like that? Your drifting wind country has committed a great sin, yet your imperial father doesn't even have a son. Do you know what this means? His family line was cut off. Your drifting wind nation is already without descendants. Although there was a little prince in the past, he was not Mu Xintian's son. That was why Chao Yefeng said that." Mu Shuashin was enraged as she raised her hand and slapped Chao Yefeng. No one had expected Mu Shuashin to make a move against another participant on the eve of the four-nation youth competition. They were all stunned. "Mu Shuashin, you dare to hit me?" Chao Yefeng widened her eyes in disbelief and said angrily. "Guards, take this damned woman down for this princess." "Princess." The palace maid on the side carefully pulled Mu Shuashin's sleeve. "After all, we sneaked out. It's better not to cause trouble, lest His Majesty." Chapter 1945. That was right. This time, Chao Yefeng had indeed escaped from the palace. She had even participated in the four-nation youth competition on her own initiative. Who asked her imperial father to make her the concubine of that ugly ghost emperor? How was that ugly ghost emperor worthy of him? Only the ugliest woman in the world would be interested in that ugly ghost emperor. However, Chao Yefeng and Mu Shuashin had become enemies many years ago. When Chao Yefeng saw Mu Shuashin, she immediately exploded. Chao Yefeng had always treated the palace maids well. However, when she heard this, she immediately slapped the palace maid beside her. "Are you blind? Can't you see this princess being bullied? This woman dared to hit this princess. She must pay the price." The palace maid lowered her head, feeling wronged. She did not dare to say anything. Chao Yefeng glared at Mu Shuashin angrily. When she saw that the people beside her did not help her, she decided to do it herself. But as soon as she raised her hand, it was held back by a strong arm. Boom! That person pushed Chao Yefeng back a few steps. Anger rose in her heart as she looked up. However, when she saw the youth's handsome face, she was stunned. In fact, Chao Yefeng had a purpose for coming here. The people who could participate in the four-nation youth competition were all dragons and phoenixes among men. In order to prevent her imperial father from forcing her to marry that ugly ghost emperor, she had to find an ideal husband. Undeniably, the princes of the various nations were the husbands she looked forward to. As princes, not only were they talented, but they were also of noble status. Some of them were exceptionally beautiful. Only a man like this could match up to her status. Hence, when Chao Yefeng saw Chi Su, she was certain that the youth before her was the husband she looked forward to. Chi Su. Mu Shuashin turned her head and saw the youth's handsome profile. She felt joy in her heart. "Why are you here?" "I followed Chi Ling Mu. Are you all right?" Chi Su asked worriedly. Mu Shuashin blushed and shook her head. "I'm fine. Chi Su, I will not let myself suffer. Then I can rest assured." Chi Su smiled and turned his head to look at Chao Yefeng. At that moment, his eyes turned cold, and there was an eerie chill in his gaze. The princess of the Purple Moon Kingdom is nothing more than this. When Qiao Yefeng heard Qi Su's merciless ridicule, she immediately became flustered. This is a grudge between me and Mu Shuoxin. What does it have to do with you? This young man was not bad, but his eyes were a little bad. He actually fell for a woman like Mu Shuoxin. Was Mu Shuoxin more beautiful than her? Mu is my fiancé, why should I not care? Qi Su smiled coldly and said expressionlessly. Qiao Yefeng fiercely gritted her teeth, a dog with a dog, a wolf with a wolf. You and Mu Shuoxin are a couple, so you're definitely not a good person. Xiao Chui, let's go. Even if Qiao Yefeng was brainless, she knew that Qi Su's strength was not simple. She could tell just from his push just now. Therefore, she glared fiercely at Qi Su, and left with her palace maids and guards in a haughty manner. Qi Su retracted his gaze. Lady Yun is here too. Really? Mu Shuoxin's eyes lit up, her face was full of smiles. I really admire Lady Yun's medical skills. When there's time, I want to learn a thing or two from her. She playfully stuck out her tongue and giggled. By the way, why did you follow the second prince of the Tianqi kingdom here? Chapter 1946. Miss Yun wants to support Qi Ling. In a simple sentence, Mu Shuoxin revealed Yun Luofeng's purpose. Mu Shuoxin nodded. I have heard of the second prince of Tianqi kingdom. He is indeed a character. Miss Yun's vision is very accurate. Supporting him will definitely be a great help. Qi Su touched the back of his head and smiled gently. I will be with the people of Tianqi kingdom during this time. If you need anything, come to me at any time. I will definitely help you. Speaking of which, Qi Su is still worried about Mu Shuoxin. He is afraid that she will be bullied here. Don't worry, nothing will happen to me. Having said that, but thinking of those people, Mu Shuoxin's eyes still darkened. Her father has no son, only a daughter. Because of this, she became the object of ridicule by the princesses and princes of other countries. Seeing Qi Su's worried eyes, Mu Shuoxin said again. If there is anything, I will come to you. Hearing this, Qi Su smiled. Then I will go back first, lest Miss Yun has something to tell me. You should also rest early. Mu Shuoxin thought for a moment and nodded. Okay, then I will visit Miss Yun tomorrow. She doesn't know why, but for Yun Luofeng, Mu Shuoxin has a very good impression. Perhaps it is because he not only saved her but also saved her father. At this time, in the Purple Moon Kingdom's inn, Qiao Yefeng angrily walked in and cursed. That man is really blind. I don't know how many times more beautiful than Mu Shuoxin, but he only pays attention to Mu Shuoxin. Your Highness. Xiao Chui's face was still red from the fingerprints. She did not dare to speak as carelessly as before. Her tone was cautious. Just now, I heard Mu Shuoxin call that young man Qi Su. But there isn't a prince in the 4 countries named Qi Su. Qiao Yefeng froze for a moment and then reacted. Yes, that young man is not a member of the royal family. Is he a prince's guard? No wonder he can ignore me. It's because he knows that I am not as stupid as Mu Shuoxin. Qiao Yefeng felt that what she thought was very reasonable. A guard had become the fiancé of a princess. How could the Emperor of Drifting Wind Country allow such a thing to happen? Besides, the guard had not fallen in love with her because of her beauty, because he knew very well that there were no princes in the Drifting Wind Country. As a son-in-law who had married Mu Xintian's most beloved daughter, perhaps Mu Xintian would pass the throne to him. Fortunately, I didn't pursue such a man. He's willing to give himself to Mu Shuoxin for power. Such a person is truly disgusting. A trace of disgust flashed in Qiao Yefeng's eyes. She rejoiced that she wasn't bewitched by the youth's appearance. She raised her head and saw the palm print on Xiao Chui's face. She asked, "I didn't mean to hit you just now. I was really angry. Are you still in pain?" Xiao Chui's eyes flickered with tears of gratitude. She hurriedly shook her head. "Thank you for your concern, Princess. This servant doesn't feel any pain." "That's good." Qiao Yefeng smiled. "Go and spread a rumor for me later. Tell them that Mu Shuoxin's fiancé is just a lowly guard. Qiao Yefeng was not a citizen of Drifting Wind Country after all. She rarely asked about the affairs of other countries, so she was naturally unaware of Qi Su's status in Drifting Wind Country. She was also unaware of the recent events in Drifting Wind Country. Even though she was unaware of it, it did not mean that the princesses and princes of the other countries were unaware of it. Hence, the rumor that she had asked the palace maids to spread would only bring disgrace upon herself. Chapter 1947. The Four Nations Youth Competition unfolded under everyone's expectations. Wind Cloud City, in the center of the city square, people from various countries have gradually arrived. Mu Shuoxin saw Yun Luofeng and Qi Su at a glance and smiled at them. At the same time, she saw Qiao Yefeng standing in the Purple Moon Kingdom's team staring at Yun Luofeng. Her eyes flashed with surprise and schadenfreude, and finally there was jealousy. She was surprised because Mu Shuoxin's fiancé was actually standing with another woman. Schadenfreude because there will be a good show to watch later. As for jealousy, it was because the white-clothed woman was too devastatingly beautiful. She was as beautiful as a person from a painting. This made Qiao Yefeng, who had always been proud of her appearance, so jealous that her eyes turned red. She really wanted to tear that face apart. However, when he thought about the show he was about to see, the corners of his lips curled up slightly. Isn't that the fiancé of the Princess of Flowing Wind Country? What? You abandoned Mu Shuoxin so quickly and found a new lover. TSK, sure enough, men are not good things. Qiao Yefeng did not care about the gazes around her, her lips curved into a sneer. You're just a little guard, first for the power of the royal family, you hooked up with a silly woman like Mu Shuoxin, and now you're standing with another woman in front of everyone. I guess only a brainless woman like Mu Shuoxin would choose a fiancé like you. That's right. Qiao Yefeng deliberately said such words in front of everyone. The purpose is to let people understand how bad Mu Shuoxin's vision is. It will make Flowing Wind Country lose face. Not to mention, she wanted to see the scene of these two women fighting. Unfortunately, she is doomed to not be able to see such a scene. Mu Shuoxin slowly walked towards Yun Luofeng, her pretty face raised a smile, as if she did not hear Qiao Yefeng's provocation. Miss Yun, I wanted to visit you 2 days ago, but because of some sudden situation, I couldn't go see you. I hope Miss Yun won't take it to heart. Qiao Yefeng's face turned black on the spot. With her understanding of Mu Shuoxin, if others peep at her man, this woman will definitely be angry. But why is she so friendly to the woman beside Qi Su? At the thought of this, Qiao Yefeng gritted her teeth. Her face was filled with anger and unwillingness, and her eyes were filled with viciousness. Yun Luofeng used his chin to point at Qiao Yefeng. You know each other. She's just a crazy woman. Mu, and I wouldn't know such a person. Qi Su was expressionless and his tone was cold. Qiao Yefeng was so angry that she almost flipped out on the spot. Qi Su, who do you think you are? You're just a guard. In front of this princess, you have no right to speak. Qiao Yefeng's entire body was trembling, her face was ashen as she glared at Qi Su. At this moment, she did not notice the astonishment in the eyes of the others. Guards. The Qi family of Drifting Wind Nation was also considered a large aristocratic family. Their strength could not compare to the imperial family, but who asked Qi Su to have such a powerful master? People from other countries had heard of Yun Yueqing's story, they weren't like the Qi family back then. They didn't think that Yun Wuqing had really disappeared. Maybe she was just trapped somewhere and would come out sooner or later. Offending Yun Wuqing's disciple at a time like this wouldn't end well for them. Shut up. A luxuriously dressed man heard Qiao Yefeng's words and his expression immediately changed. Chapter 1948. Imperial brother, did I say something wrong? Qiao Yefeng clenched her fists tightly. I know you purposely created the four-nation youth competition, but I can't stand it anymore. To think that there are such stupid women and shameless men in this world. Fortunately, I am smart enough to not be deceived by such a man like Mu Shuoxin. I told you to shut up. Did you hear me? The luxurious man raised his hand and slapped Qiao Yefeng. Honestly speaking, he had wanted to hit this woman for a long time. He thought that she was the smartest person in the world, but in reality, no one was stupider than her. Back in the palace, his father hated conflicts between the princes and princesses the most. Hence, no matter how much he wanted to beat this woman up, he endured it. Now, they were in Wind Cloud City. How could he let go of this opportunity? Even if this woman went back to complain, he had reason to do so. Qiao Zixuan. Qiao Yefeng was stunned by this slap. She only recovered her wits after a long time. She held her swollen cheek and looked at the man in front of her in disbelief. You actually dare to hit me? This time, perhaps due to her anger, Qiao Yefeng did not even address him as imperial brother. Instead, she directly called him by his name. I hit you to teach you a lesson. You did not even know the other party's identity, yet you dared to speak so arrogantly. Qiao Zixuan snorted coldly. Qi Su is the young master of the Qi clan. The Qi clan is the #1 noble clan in the Drifting Wind Nation. Yet, you claim that he is a guard. Qiao Yefeng was somewhat stunned. Why would someone from the #1 noble clan participate in the four-nation youth competition? Wasn't the four-nation youth competition supposed to be a competition between the princes and princesses of the various nations? Even the people they brought were only guards and palace maids. The most important thing was that the successor of the #1 noble clan in the Drifting Wind Nation was with someone from the Tianqi Nation. Imperial brother, isn't it just the #1 noble clan? Is there a need to beat me up because of someone from the #1 noble clan? Although she knew that she had made a mistake, Qiao Yefeng would not apologize. She held back her anger in her heart and said angrily. So what if it was the #1 noble clan? Could it be stronger than the royal clan? Furthermore, she was not wrong. Qi Su wanted to marry Mu Shuoxin for the sake of the royal clan. Otherwise, with Mu Shuoxin's status, she would have to marry into another royal family. Qiao Zixuan was too lazy to say anything more to her and coldly threw a sentence. If you want to stay here, you must listen to me, otherwise, I will send you back to the Purple Moon Kingdom. Upon hearing that Qiao Zixuan wanted to send her back, Qiao Yefeng was so frightened that she shut her mouth and did not dare to say another word. When Mu Shuoxin heard Qiao Yefeng slandering Qi Su, she was so angry that she wanted to argue with her, but she was stopped by Yun Luofeng. A person who can't eat grapes says that the grapes are sour. Do you really want to argue with her whether the grapes are sour or not? Not to mention Mu Shuoxin, even the onlookers were stunned. Only after a long while did they react and burst into laughter. What nonsense are you spouting? Qiao Yefeng didn't care about the palace maid's tugging and fiercely shook off her hand. She glared angrily at Yun Luofeng. When did I say the grapes were sour? And you said I can't eat grapes. What a joke. I am the princess of the Purple Moon Kingdom, how can I not eat grapes? The palace maids and guards of the Purple Moon Kingdom were so ashamed that they wanted to dig a hole in the ground. Qiao Zixuan was so angry that his complexion turned ashen. Only Qiao Yefeng did not know why the laughter became even louder after she said those words. Chapter 1949. Your Highness, the palace maid could not stand it anymore and carefully tugged at Chow Yefeng's sleeve. She's saying that you like Chi Su, but because he's the fiancé of the Princess of Drifting Wind Country, you're saying that he's not good. The palace maid had been vague enough. She was just short of saying that Chow Yefeng was humiliating Chi Su in front of the world because she could not have him. That was the truth, was it not? Chow Yefeng finally reacted. Her beautiful face was flushed red as she bit her lip and clenched her fists. Mu Shuoxin laughed mockingly. You'd better go back and learn more. Otherwise, you'll say that the grapes are sour because you can't have them. Chow Yefeng's face was full of resentment and humiliation after being humiliated in front of so many people. The way she looked at Yun Luofeng also changed from jealousy to hatred. She could not touch Mu Shuoxin, but she could not touch her. Amidst the laughter of the crowd, the royal family of Jinyang country finally arrived. However, no one dared to say a word about the Jinyang country's tardiness. They all stood calmly on the spot and even stopped laughing. My apologies, I'm late. The emperor of Jinyang country, Qing Feiyang, strode over, flicked his sleeves, and sat down on the throne. Standing beside him was a young and beautiful woman. This woman had a head full of black hair that flowed like a waterfall, thick and beautiful. Her face was very elegant. If one had to describe it, it would be like a hibiscus out of clear water, a natural carving. She did not need any makeup to bring out her elegant and refined beauty. She was dressed in a purple scholarly dress, elegant and dignified. A light yellow sash was tied around her waist, making her look very elegant and fresh. Chi Su looked at the woman standing beside Qing Feiyang and lowered his head. She's the #1 genius of Jinyang country, the Golden Sun Princess. She's also Qing Feiyang's most beloved daughter. Her status in Jinyang country is second only to the emperor and higher than the empress. Yun Luofeng's gaze also fell on the Golden Sun Princess. The Golden Sun Princess seemed to have noticed Yun Luofeng's inquisitive gaze and looked over. When Princess Jinyang, who was a woman, saw a stunning face in the crowd, she could not help but be stunned. She had always thought that her appearance was unparalleled, but she had never expected that there would be someone so stunning in the vast thousand worlds. Actually, if it was just based on appearance, she didn't think she was bad. However, that woman had a temperament that no one else could compare to. He was like a king, ruling over the world. Below the stage, everyone was looking at Qing Feiyang and Princess Golden Sunday. Even the arrogant Chow Yefeng did not feel jealous of Princess Golden Sun at this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's competition will be held by our Jinyang country. Whoever wins will unify the 4 countries and become the true overlord of the 4 countries. Qing Feiyang smiled faintly, his eyes shining brightly. Although the Jinyang country was the strongest out of the 4 countries, the other countries still agreed to participate in the tournament. This was because the current situation of the Wind Cloud continent did indeed require the emergence of a person to lead the entire situation. Of course, more people hoped that the person who could lead the entire situation was themselves. Next, the leaders of each country will report the number of people in each team. In fact, other than the Tianqi country which had 2 teams, the people from the other countries were all in one team. Chapter 1950. However, the other team from the kingdom of Tianqi only consisted of 3 people, hence, when Qi Ling reported the number of people, everyone looked at them in surprise. 3 people. Did I hear that right? The second team from the kingdom of Tianqi only has 3 people? TSK, could it be that the second prince of the kingdom of Tianqi thinks that the 3 of them can fight against so many of us? What a joke. Everyone laughed mockingly, their eyes full of mockery. Mu Shuoxin's expression was full of worry. She wanted to say something, but when she saw Yun Luofeng's calm expression, the worry in her heart slowly disappeared. Of these 2 people, one was her trusted benefactor and the other was her fiancé. Hence, she believed in their strength. At this time, the third prince, Qiyu, stood up and said arrogantly, you don't know how arrogant my second brother is. Before we arrived, he said that he only needed 3 people to crush all the princes and princesses of the other royal families. Because of the relationship between Mu Shuashin and Chi Su, the people from the Drifting Wind country did not show any expression. However, when the Purple Moon country and the Golden Sun country heard this, they immediately glared angrily at Qi Ling and the others. Although Qiao Zishuan did not say anything, his eyes were filled with dissatisfaction. It was true that he was afraid of Yun Wuqin, but that did not mean that Qi Su and Qi Ling could make him cower. What's more, Qi Ling dared to say such arrogant words. Only the Golden Sun Princess remained calm, as if she did not hear Qi Yu's words. Instead, her pair of clear eyes stared unblinkingly at Yun Luofeng. If there was anyone here that made her wary, it would be this woman in white. Even she did not know why, but she had a feeling that perhaps this woman would become a formidable opponent. Qi Ling frowned. He stood up and wanted to say something, but an arm stretched out and blocked his way. The woman's lips were curled into a smile and her eyes were filled with evil. She raised her chin slightly and a faint smile hung on her beautiful face. You were right about one thing. With just the 3 of us, we can defeat all of you. Arrogant, arrogant. Under everyone's mocking and contemptuous gazes, she actually threw out such a sentence. Everyone was dumbfounded. They did not expect that she would dare to say such words in the presence of all the princes and princesses of the various countries. This was simply incomparably arrogant, not putting them in his eyes at all. Qiao Yefeng laughed coldly. We are well aware of Qi Ling's strength. As for the 2 of you, I'm afraid that you are not even comparable to Qi Ling. Yet, you want to rely on the 3 of you to crush all of us. This princess has never seen someone as arrogant as you. Yun Luofeng slightly raised his eyebrows and glanced at Qiao Yefeng. You didn't see it before, but you see it now. You. Qiao Yefeng pointed at Yun Luofeng angrily. She was so angry that her chest heaved up and down. Good. In the 4-nation youth competition later, let me see how capable you are. Did this woman think that she was the Golden Yang Princess? Princess Jean Yang was very talented. It was understandable for her to say such words. However, she wanted to crush everyone with just the 3 of them. This was the funniest joke she had ever heard in her life. Thinking of this, the Golden Yang Princess glared at Yun Luofeng. Later on, she would use facts to prove whether this woman was truly capable or just hot-headed. Chapter 1951. Outside the city gates. The man in black paused in mid-air and lowered his head to look at the majestic city gate in front of him. The corners of his lips curled into a shallow smile. However, just as he was about to enter the city gates, 2 soldiers from the Golden Sun country blocked his way. Stop, please show me your identity seal. Scram. There was a loud boom. As soon as the man's cold words fell, they felt a powerful force slam into their chests, causing their bodies to suddenly fly backwards and fall into the city gates. By the time they regained their senses, the man had already disappeared. Quick, go and report to His Majesty, an unknown person has barged in. The soldier struggled to stand up. He clutched his injured chest and said breathlessly. Immediately after, he dragged his injured body and rushed towards the venue where the 4-nation youth competition was being held. Wind Cloud City was only so big. As such, the man quickly found the place where the crowd had gathered. From afar, he saw the woman in white standing in the crowd. In that instant, the white-robed woman seemed to have sensed something. She abruptly raised her eyes, and at that moment, her eyes met the man's warm gaze, causing her heart to feel as if it had been struck fiercely. When their eyes met, Yun Luofeng forgot all the noise around him. He only stared blankly at the man in the sky. Miss Yun. Chi Su sensed Yun Luofeng's strange expression and followed her gaze. Then, she saw the godlike man in the sky. The first impression that this man gave off was that he was very powerful. Even though he was wearing a mask, it could not hide his aura. Qiao Yefeng also saw the man in the sky. She frowned and said with some annoyance, "This man is really shameless. He knows that this princess has come to Wind Cloud City and specially chased after me." A prince of the Golden Sun country was curious about Yun Zhao's identity. When he heard this, he looked at Qiao Yefeng. "Princess Feng, do you know this man?" "That's right," Qiao Yefeng sneered disdainfully. "This man covets this princess beauty and actually covets this princess. He wants Imperial Father to marry this princess to him, but he doesn't even look at himself. He's so ugly that he can't show his face. This princess will definitely not agree." To save face, she did not tell the prince of the Jinyang kingdom that her father intended to give her to this man as a concubine. If this matter were to spread out, how could she, Qiao Yefeng, continue to mingle in this mainland? As he spoke, the man in the sky slowly walked over. His cold eyes were filled with warmth at this moment. His black eyes pierced through everyone and landed on the woman in white. Feng Er. He had finally found her. "In this life, I only hope that we will never be separated again." Who would have thought that when Qiao Yefeng heard Yun Zhao's way of addressing her, she thought that she was being addressed, and the disgust on her face was undisguised. "Ghost Emperor, it's not easy for me to escape from the Purple Moon Kingdom and come to this place. You actually chased me here. Who allowed you to address this princess like that? Don't think that just because my imperial father respects you, you can covet what doesn't belong to you." Qiao Yefeng arrogantly raised her chin and spoke in an overbearing manner. This man's eyes were so gentle when he looked at her, he would definitely not be angry because of these words. Otherwise, it would be difficult for her to explain to her imperial father. When the others heard Qiao Yefeng's words, they looked at Yun Zhao with eyes full of understanding. Chapter 1952. It turns out that this man came to pursue Qiao Yefeng. It seems that his strength is not bad, his imposing manner makes people tremble with fear. Unfortunately, he is too ugly, so Qiao Yefeng doesn't like him. Indeed, in everyone's ears, the pronunciation of Feng Er and Feng Er is the same. Therefore, not to mention Qiao Yefeng, even the others thought that Yun Zhao was referring to the Purple Moon Kingdom's princess. However, after seeing Yun Luofeng, Yun Zhao's eyes were filled with her existence. The surrounding noise was automatically blocked by him and he walked towards the beautiful woman in white. "Ghost Emperor, don't you understand human language? I already said I don't like you, you still..." Before Qiao Yefeng could finish her words, the man walked past her and walked forward. Suddenly, Qiao Yefeng's expression froze and her eyes widened in disbelief. "This damn man, how dare he ignore me?" Qiao Yefeng was so angry that she turned her head and shouted angrily, "Ghost Emperor, stop right there. Are you trying to attract this princess's attention by loosening the reins only to grasp better? This princess is telling you, don't even think about it." What made Qiao Yefeng even angrier was that Yun Zhao didn't seem to hear her voice and slowly walked in front of Yun Luofeng. His voice was very gentle, completely different from the person she once saw in the palace of the Purple Moon Kingdom. "Feng Er, I'm here for you." Yes, he's here for her. Yun Luofeng suddenly rushed into Yun Zhao's arms, his arms tightly wrapped around his neck. He raised his lips and pressed them on the man's thin lips. This kiss was so intense that it made everyone present dumbfounded. Didn't Qiao Yefeng say that this man came to find her? It turned out that this was a mistake. Compared to the shock of the others, Qiao Yefeng almost fainted from anger. She clenched her fists so tightly that her nails dug into her flesh. "Your Highness." The palace maid Xiao Chui looked worried and carefully called out. Qiao Yefeng didn't seem to hear her voice. Her eyes were full of hatred as she looked at Yun Luofeng and Yun Zhao. Of course, she doesn't like Yun Zhao and naturally, she wasn't angry because of his intimate actions with Yun Luofeng. But because this man had caused her to lose all her face in front of so many people. She had claimed that the Ghost Emperor had come to look for her. Who would have thought that the Ghost Emperor would not even look at her and would even do such an immoral thing with another woman? How could she not be angry and embarrassed? Yun Xiao, you know this woman. Yun Luofeng let go of the man's arm and pointed at Qiao Yefeng with his chin, asking with a faint smile. Only then did Yun Xiao return to his senses. He looked over at the direction of Yun Luofeng's gaze, and what he saw was a face that was distorted by anger. He looked at Qiao Yefeng seriously, as if he was trying his best to think. In the end, he shook his head and said, "No." Qiao Yefeng's face turned the color of pig liver. This sentence made her even angrier than when he had ignored her. She had just said that the other party had a crush on her, but in the end, the man said he didn't know her. How could he not know her? If they didn't know each other, he wouldn't have let his father force her to become a concubine. In fact, Yun Xiao really didn't know Qiao Yefeng. At that time, when he had killed his way into the Purple Moon Kingdom and fought against two strong cultivators, the only person he remembered was the Emperor of the Purple Moon Kingdom. Even if Qiao Yefeng had been present at that time, he wouldn't have been able to discover the other party's existence. So, in Yun Xiao's eyes, he really didn't know this woman. Chapter 1953. What's funny is that Qiao Yefeng didn't know that it was her father's decision to let her be Yun Xiao's concubine. Yun Xiao never knew her existence. Oh, Qiao Yefeng sneered. You're worried about this woman, so you don't dare to say what you've done during this time. If you didn't like me, would you let my father force me to be your woman? Her father told her at the time that the Ghost Emperor has been looking for a woman, and that woman is likely to be his wife. However, she always thought that the woman who fell in love with the Ghost Emperor must be an ugly person. She didn't expect that the woman would be Yun Luofeng. When she thought of this, Qiao Yefeng felt like she was slapped in the face, her face hurt. Yun Xiao's face has been cold and terrible, the momentum of her body has suddenly changed. Qiao Yefeng. Qiao Zixuan saw that his sister was getting more and more excessive. He hurriedly stopped her, for fear that this idiot will bring trouble to the Purple Moon Kingdom because of her stupidity. Apologize to the Ghost Emperor. Offer gifts and apologize. Those who don't know the identity of Yun Xiao were stunned by Qiao Zixuan's words. He actually asked the Purple Moon Kingdom's princess to apologize to this unknown man. I won't. Qiao Yefeng was very angry, coldly staring at Yun Luofeng. I tell you, you just picked up a man that this princess doesn't want. Do you really think that your man is infatuated with you? This princess just needs to hook her finger and he will come to this princess' side. Qiao Yefeng's words made Qiao Zixuan ashamed. From the beginning, the Ghost Emperor didn't look at her and claimed that he didn't know her. In the end, she was still able to say something like that. In fact, Qiao Zixuan didn't know the true strength of Yun Xiao because he was not in the Purple Moon Kingdom when Yun Xiao fought with the two strong men. And the Emperor of the Purple Moon Kingdom sealed this matter for the sake of face. Therefore, he only knows that his father is very respectful to the Ghost Emperor, but he doesn't know the real reason. If he knew that the two strong men of the Purple Moon Kingdom can't beat the Ghost Emperor, he would never give Qiao Yefeng a chance to say a word. The corners of Yun Luofeng's lips curled up slightly. With a smile on his face, his pitch-black eyes were filled with an evil light. Yun Xiao, it seems like you've been living a carefree life while I was away. She had forgotten that in front of her, Yun Xiao was the kind of person who had a one-track mind. Hence, Yun Xiao took her flattering words seriously. At that moment, he became nervous, and a murderous intent appeared in his cold, black eyes. Of course, this killing intent was definitely not directed at Yun Luofeng. Are you from the Purple Moon Kingdom? Yun Xiao's voice was cold to the extreme, even the surrounding temperature dropped a few degrees. Qiao Yefeng sneered, you already know the answer. It seems that this Purple Moon Kingdom doesn't need to exist anymore. Yun Zhao's tone was filled with killing intent. I didn't expect that the Emperor of the Purple Moon Kingdom would send me a woman. Qiao Yefeng was stunned. His imperial father was sending him a woman. What did that mean? Wasn't he the one who forced it? I, Yun Xiao, only have one wife in this life. Yun Zhao's eyes had already gradually landed on Qiao Yefeng. This was the first time he looked at Qiao Yefeng. That gaze made Qiao Yefeng feel fear from the bottom of her heart. The rest, only death awaits. His tone was as concise and comprehensive as ever. The murderous aura exuded from his body made Qiao Yefeng's body tremble. At this moment, she remembered the grand scene when Yun Xiao fought with the two strong men that day. Chapter 1954. You. What are you trying to do? Her body trembled as she took 2 steps back. Yun Xiao was expressionless, his expression cold. His horrifying gaze was like that of a god of death. He could easily reap the lives of others with a raise of his hand. Ghost Emperor, Qiao Zixuan's expression changed slightly as he rushed forward. My sister is young and ignorant. Ghost Emperor, please let her off for now. Furthermore, my sister is the princess of the Purple Moon Nation. What you are doing is not very good. Even if Qiao Zixuan did not like his sister, he would not let anything happen to her before him. Yun Xiao did not say anything. He just moved closer to the Qiao siblings with a cold expression. Up on the high platform, Qing Feiyang originally did not want to interfere in the matters of other nations. However, this Qiao Yefeng was a princess participating in the 4-nation youth competition. How could he let anything happen to her? Hence, he cleared his throat and said, no matter what grudges you have, you can settle them after the 4-nation youth competition. At that time, my Golden Sun Nation will not interfere. Yun Xiao glanced coldly at Qing Feiyang, but he did not stop what he was doing. A swift and fierce wind blasted towards Qiao Yefeng, causing her body to shoot out fiercely like an arrow that had left its bow. Fresh blood gushed out of her mouth without end. Qing Feiyang's expression changed. He had not expected this man to disobey him. Yun Xiao. Just at this moment, Yun Luofeng's voice came from behind him. Teaching her a lesson is enough. Don't kill her for now. She is slandering me. Yun Xiao said with some grievance. Teach her a lesson first. As for the rest, I want to settle it myself. Yun Luofeng narrowed his eyes slightly. It was one thing to spy on her man, but he even dared to slander her. How could he let go of this debt so easily? Seeing Yun Zhao's wronged expression, Yun Luofeng comforted her softly. Do you really think I will believe her words? We have been together for more than 10 years. What kind of trials and tribulations have we not experienced? How can you destroy my trust in you just because of a few words from someone else? Yun Xiao finally relaxed at Yun Luofeng's words. The corners of her lips under the mask curled up into a gentle smile. All right, I will listen to you. Although the man's smile was very shallow, it made everyone's heart hit. This man was as terrifying as a ghost. However, he could also be so obedient and docile. That's right, towards the Yun Xiao before them, a single word appeared in everyone's hearts, docile. Qiao Yefeng's body trembled even more. The scene of this black-clothed, cold-looking man appearing for the first time suddenly appeared in her mind. At that time, he was high and mighty like a monarch descending upon the world. It was as if he could decide the life and death of a person with a wave of his hand. It is estimated that the people of the Purple Moon Kingdom never thought that the cold-blooded man would be so gentle. This is Wind Cloud City. Qing Feiyang slammed the table and stood up. His expression was cold and stern. Young master, please wait until after the competition to decide. As if she did not hear Qing Feiyang's words, Yun Xiao had already walked in front of Qiao Yefeng. His gaze was cold and condescending as he stared at Qiao Yefeng coldly, as if he was looking down on the world. His gaze was as if the Qiao Yefeng standing in front of him was already a dead person. Boom. Yun Zhao's foot stepped on Qiao Yefeng's chest. He did not have the slightest bit of pity for the other party because she was a woman. Ghost Emperor. Qiao Zixuan felt Yun Zhao's terrifying power. His heart surged with fear and he gritted his teeth. Please be lenient. Chapter 1955. Yun Luofeng had only said that he would spare her life. However, he did not say that she could not be beaten to a pulp. Yun Zhao's expression remained cold and she did not show any mercy. With a flip of her foot, she sent Qiao Yefeng, who had been trampled on the ground, flying into the air. She fell from the sky and landed on the ground with a loud bang, creating a huge pit. Qiao Zixuan's face turned pale and he did not dare to say a word. The drifting wind country was on Yun Luofeng's side and was naturally enraged by Qiao Yefeng's words. They wanted nothing more than to beat her to death. As for the third prince and the others from the country of Tianqi, they had been frightened by Yun Zhao's arrogance and did not dare to step forward. Only Qing Feiyang from the country of Golden Sun shot a look at the expert behind him. That person leaped up and slashed down from the sky. Yun Zhao raised her head and looked at the old man who was descending from the sky. A cold light flashed in her grim black eyes. Whoosh! The old man's attack was accompanied by a strong gust of wind, instantly blowing Yun Zhao's mask off. His black hair, which was as black as ink, fluttered in the wild wind, slowly brushing past his handsome face. At this moment, Qiao Yefeng had already been fished out of the pit by Qiao Zixuan. Her body was in a terrible state and blood kept spurting from her mouth. It was a good thing that Qiao Zixuan had brought some spiritual medicine with him. This spiritual medicine could not heal Qiao Yefeng's injuries, but it gave her the strength to speak. Ghost Emperor, you ugly monster, you're only taking revenge on me because I don't want to be your concubine because I find you ugly. Do you really think that the woman by your side is anything good? There's no woman who doesn't like good-looking men. Anyone who is with you is only doing it for your power. I'd rather die than marry an ugly monster. As Yun Zhao's back was facing Qiao Yefeng did not see the man's face the moment his mask fell. She only heard gasps from all around her. Qiao Yefeng laughed icily in her heart. This ghost emperor must be too ugly, and that was why everyone was shocked. However, just as she finished speaking, the people around her looked at her as if she was an idiot, as if she had said something stupid. Just as Qiao Yefeng was puzzled, the man with his back facing her slowly turned around. In an instant, Qiao Yefeng's face stiffened, and even her breathing stopped. Her eyes were wide open, and her slightly trembling lips revealed the shock in her heart. What kind of face was that? He was as perfect as a god, without a single flaw. His pitch-black eyes were as cold as an eagle's in the night. Just a single glance from him would make one's heart stop beating. Qiao Yefeng had seen countless men, but the man standing in front of her right now was the most handsome she had ever seen. He was so handsome that he didn't seem like a human at all. Why? Qiao Yefeng clutched her aching heart and said with a pained look, "Why are you so good-looking? Why did he have to wear a mask? I know, you must be testing me to see if I will fall in love with you because of your ugly face." Even now, Qiao Yefeng still stubbornly believed that her imperial father had forced her to become the Ghost Emperor's concubine because the Ghost Emperor had taken a fancy to her. Unfortunately, she had always believed that the Ghost Emperor was extremely ugly, so she had never agreed to it. Yun Zhao looked at Qiao Yefeng expressionlessly as he raised his hand and pulled Yun Luofeng into his arms. The corners of his lips gently curled into a small angle. Chapter 1956. You're thinking too much. Over the years, there have been too many women pestering me. I can't even kill them all. In order to prevent my wife from feeling unhappy, I wear a mask when I walk outside to prevent my wife from feeling unhappy. You're thinking too much. These 4 words almost drove Qiao Yefeng crazy. Her eyes were bloodshot and she tried to walk towards Yun Xiao several times, but because her injuries were too severe, she fell to the ground again. Why? Why did things turn out like this? It was one thing for the Ghost Emperor to be ugly, but he just had to be so young and handsome, and his strength was even more formidable. How could she feel happy about this? What's more, she almost became this man's woman. Feng Qiao Zixuan supported Qiao Yefeng's body and looked up at Yun Xiao. My sister already knows she was wrong, please stop. This is Wind Cloud City, the masters of Jin Sun Country will not let you do as you please. As he said this, Qiao Zixuan glanced at the old man who had just attacked. He was standing motionless like a mountain, as if as soon as Yun Xiao made a move, he would follow suit. Qiao Zixuan softened his tone, Ghost Emperor, I know you're strong, but my Purple Moon country is not too bad. Father respects you very much, that's why he intends to marry Feng to you. If you go against him, I'm afraid the Purple Moon country will not let you go. At this moment, Qiao Zixuan's heart was filled with many thoughts. The Ghost Emperor was so young and powerful. If he married his sister, then the Purple Moon country's strength would increase by another level. With their strength, surpassing Jin Sun country would only be a matter of time. Moreover, his sister already knows she was wrong, so she will never do it again. Yun Luofeng felt Yun Zhao's anger. She clenched his fist and looked indifferently at Qiao Zixuan. However, there was a sinister aura emanating from between her brows. I'm sorry, I'm a very petty person. In this life, he can only have me. If anyone dares to step into our Yun family's house, then I'm sorry, I won't let them leave again. Qiao Zixuan's face changed slightly, and he forced a smile. Miss, I'm afraid you can't make the decision on this matter, right? Yun Xiao tightened his grip on Yun Luofeng's shoulders. His eyes, which had been filled with sincerity and warmth when he looked at Yun Luofeng, reverted to their usual callousness when he looked at Qiao Zixuan. Not only my life, but even my life is in her hands. If she wants me to die, then I will die for her. If she wants me to live, then no one can kill me. Even my life is like this, yet you think that she can't make decisions for me and my family. Even his life was in her hands, let alone his. Yun Xiao knew that Yun Luofeng's words were to prevent any more women from finding trouble for them. So what if he cooperated with her? If not for this, he would have killed this group of people long ago. Feng, you don't have to do anything to these women. I'm afraid of dirtying your hands. My peach blossoms will be cut off by myself. Yun Zhao's figure flashed and appeared in front of Qiao Yefeng. Before the old man from Jinyang country could react, Yun Zhao's hand had already landed on Qiao Yefeng's head. He twisted her neck forcefully, and her neck was twisted off, causing blood to spurt out wildly. Everyone was dumbfounded. Some people couldn't stand this scene and ran to the side to vomit. Yun Xiao looked at the head in his hand and was stunned. Then, he looked at Yun Luofeng and said innocently, I accidentally used too much force and she died. I really didn't mean it. Chapter 1957. Yun Luofeng's mouth twitched a few times. She accidentally used too much force and she died. Was this the result of accidentally using too much force? However, looking at Yun Zhao's innocent expression, Yun Luofeng did not say anything to reprimand her. After all, even if Yun Xiao did not make a move, she would not let her off. The only reason she stopped her was because she wanted to do it herself. It's fine. If she dies, then she dies. Yun Luofeng shrugged his shoulders and said disapprovingly. It was as if to her, the death of a person was as simple as eating a meal. Qiao Zixuan was stunned. He looked at the girl lying in a pool of blood and suddenly felt incomparable grief and indignation. No matter how much he disliked this sister of his, she was still his biological sister. How could she die in front of his eyes? However, Qiao Zixuan knew his own strength. No matter how angry he was, he did not dare to say a word in front of her. The others were also shocked. They did not expect Yun Shao to kill someone so decisively under the threat of the Jinyang country cultivators. Brat! Qing Feiyang was furious and said coldly, "You really do not take my orders seriously." He was so angry not because of Qiao Yefeng's death. To him, what did Qiao Yefeng's life or death have to do with him? He was just angry that Yun Shao dared to ignore his words and even killed someone in front of him. How could he tolerate this? Unfortunately, Yun Shao did not even look at him and walked to Yun Luofeng's side. His cold eyes, which were filled with bloodlust, showed a hint of warmth when he faced the girl. "If you want to be the commander of the 4 countries, how about I help you?" Yun Luofeng shrugged his shoulders. "I prefer to rely on my own strength." The man was startled and his lips curled up slightly. "All right, then I will accompany you. If you want to conquer the world, then why not accompany you? I am only willing to be your vanguard and sweep away all the dogs that block your way." The two of them acted as if there was no one else around, but it aroused the anger of the crowd. Qing Feiyang clenched his fist tightly. His eyes were filled with coldness. However, just at this moment, Princess Jinyang said softly, "Imperial Father, the Purple Moon Kingdom's princess is already dead. There is no need for us to waste time on a dead person. We might as well start the 4-nation youth competition earlier." These words brought Qing Feiyang back to his senses. Indeed, to him, the 4-nation youth competition was the most important. As for the debt with this man, he could wait until the 4-nation youth competition ended before settling it. "Since my daughter is pleading for you, I will let you off this time." Qing Feiyang laughed coldly as a cold light flashed across his domineering eyes. "However, you don't seem to be from the 4 nations. Naturally, you don't have the right to participate in this competition." This man was very strong. Even Jin Yang couldn't compare to him. To be on the safe side, he couldn't let this man get involved. Yun Shao looked at Qing Feiyang expressionlessly. The murderous aura on his body had already gradually surged out like a storm. It was extremely oppressive, causing the surrounding people to feel suffocated. It was as if a hand was pinching their chests, making them unable to breathe. Suddenly, a hand pressed down on the back of Yun Zhao's hand. When he turned his head, he was met with a pair of eyes that were smiling evilly. "This is a battle that belongs to me. Yun Shao, I can't always rely on you. I need to rely on my own strength to seize this piece of the world." The woman's eyes were very resolute, so resolute that Yun Shao withdrew his murderous aura. He nodded obediently. "All right, I will listen to you." Chapter 1958. Yun Luofeng let go of Yun Zhao's hand and walked towards Qi Su and the others. "Someone, take the Purple Moon Princess body away." Qing Feiyang looked at the body in the pool of blood with disgust. He frowned slightly and asked, "Fourth Prince, what's your decision?" Qiao Zishuan cupped his fists and said with red eyes, "Your Majesty, please allow my sister to stay in Wind Cloud City for a few more days. I will bring her back after the competition." Qiao Yefeng was already dead and he must not lose the right to participate in the competition. "All right," Qing Feiyang nodded, "I will allow the princess to stay for a few days, but I don't want her to tarnish the station. Do you understand?" "Thank you, Your Majesty." Qing Feiyang's eyes swept towards Yun Shao and Yun Luofeng. His slightly lowered eyes hid hatred and enmity. The 4-nation competition is an opportunity. He will let Yun Luofeng taste the consequences. If he made a mistake, he must pay the price. Next up is the 4-nation youth competition. Qing Feiyang's voice suddenly turned sharp. As everyone knows, our Wind Cloud continent has always been without a leader. As a result, the Wind Cloud continent is currently in chaos. There are even many wandering experts who have formed a team and plan to become enemies with our 4 nations. Under normal circumstances, once one breaks through to the Heavenly God realm, they will be absorbed by the 4 countries. However, there are still some experts who are not willing to submit to others, so they escape the 4 countries and hide. Now, these experts have formed a team and plan to overthrow the rule of the 4 countries. This is the reason why Qing Feiyang announced to the 4 countries that he intends to appoint a leader. Everyone, don't worry. No matter which country wins this competition, they will become the leader of the 4 countries. No one will dare to disobey them. Qing Feiyang's voice was powerful and resonant, but there was confidence between his brows. In fact, there was another reason why he issued this edict. He wanted the other countries to work for him. However, he also understood that without a goal, it would be very difficult to win over the 4 countries. At this time, those experts will start to cause trouble for the 4 countries. For this reason, he will use this as an excuse to let the Golden Sun country truly rise above the other countries. As for failure, he did not even think about it. In Qing Feiyang's heart, there was no genius in the 4 nations who could defeat his daughter, Princess Jean Yang. Therefore, Jean Yang would definitely win the position of the leader of the 4 nations for her. Imperial Father. Princess Jean Yang's clear and cold voice sounded in the quiet square. It's getting late. It's better for us to start the competition earlier. Perhaps intentionally or unintentionally, Princess Golden Yang's eyes swept across Yun Luofeng's face. Her eyes gradually became cautious. Among the people present, perhaps the only one who could be considered a formidable opponent was this woman. However, in this battle, she could only accept victory and not defeat. Thinking about the consequences of failure, Princess Jean Yang's heart tightened. She clenched her fists tighter. Ladies and gentlemen, the competition is very simple. This competition will be held in the Nemesis Forest. As for this competition, it was set by me and the other emperors of the 4 kingdoms. In addition, each country's imperial jade seal will be placed in the Nemesis Forest. Qing Feiyang continued to speak in a cold and stern voice. In the process of searching for the imperial jade seal, not only can you take away other countries' imperial jade seals, you can also snatch them from their hands. Whoever obtains the most imperial jade seals will be the winner. If everyone can only find 1 imperial jade seal, then whoever returns to Wind Cloud City first will be the winner. Chapter 1959. The entire plaza quietened down at Qing Feiyang's words. Nemesis Forest was the most dangerous place on the mainland. If they went to Nemesis Forest, they would most likely die. No one would have thought that the 4 nations would use Nemesis Forest as the venue for the 4-nation competition. Everyone, do not worry. Qing Feiyang smiled faintly. The place where the jade seal is hidden will not be in the depths of Nemesis Forest. As long as you do not go too deep, you will not encounter any danger. Hearing this, everyone's hearts were at ease. The position of the leader of the 4 nations was very important. However, they were even more unwilling to be in danger. Princess Jean Yang's expression remained indifferent. Her eyes scanned the crowd of participants. When she saw that the participants had clearly heaved a sigh of relief, the corners of her lips curled into a sarcastic smile. However, she looked at Yun Luofeng again. When she saw that the woman in white was still as calm and demonic as before, a trace of admiration flashed in her eyes. A woman like this was indeed different from the rest. However, she did not know if they would become friends or enemies in the future. I'll go with you. Yun Xiao slowly walked to Yun Luofeng's side and looked at the woman in front of him seriously. You can follow me secretly. Don't let anyone discover you. Seeing the man's determined gaze, Yun Luofeng knew that even if she rejected him, this man would not allow her to go to Nemesis Forest alone. Hence, she deliberately lowered her voice and spoke. All right. Yun Zhao's expression was very determined. Even if Yun Luofeng rejected him, he would follow her secretly. Only then could he rest assured. Oh, that's right, Yun Xiao. Yun Luofeng seemed to remember something and said, Mo Qianqing is here too. Mo Qianqing. These 3 words made Yun Xiao frown, but he did not say anything. He raised his hand and pulled the woman into his embrace. His voice was resolute as he said, "I don't care how many men are eyeing you. You only belong to me. That's enough. No matter how many men want you, as long as your heart is with me, how can I not be satisfied?" Yun Luofeng's heart skipped a beat. This man had always wanted simple things. He had never restricted her growth and had never tried to kill off any man who appeared by her side. He had always believed that it was enough for her to have him in her heart. Ahem, Chi Su coughed dryly. Her face was filled with awkwardness. "You're showing off your love as if there's no one else around. Shouldn't you at least consider our feelings? It's fine if it's me, but the second prince is still a single dog. Is it really okay for you to do this?" At first, Qi Ling didn't feel anything, but when he heard Chi Su's words, the corner of his mouth couldn't help but twitch a few times. He suddenly felt that these 2 people's public display of affection really made him sad. At this time, Qing Feiyang had already given out the necessary instructions. He slowly stood up and said, "Next, the experts of our Golden Sun country will bring you to Nemesis Forest. After half a month, we will gather at Wind Cloud City." Nemesis Forest was not far from Wind Cloud City, only a few hundred meters away. This was also the reason why they had chosen Nemesis Forest. But, when Chi Su heard the words Nemesis Forest, his brows moved slightly and a trace of sadness surged in his heart. Back then, his master had gone to Nemesis Forest and disappeared without a trace. Now that he was about to enter that place, he wondered if he would be able to find her footprints. Chapter 1960. Nemesis Forest. A woman sat in a valley in the depths of the forest. Her white robes fluttered in the wind. Compared to Yun Luofeng's demonic and lazy demeanor, this woman had a calm and otherworldly air about her. Suddenly, a sharp aura pierced through the air and caused the woman in white, who had been sitting cross-legged with her eyes closed, to suddenly open them. Her eyes were cold as she stared icily at the dark sky. "Since you found your way here, why bother hiding? You can come out now." A woman dressed in a flowing green dress appeared in the sky. The woman's face was filled with disdain as she looked down at the woman in white sitting on the ground. The corners of her lips curled up gently. "Yin Yuqing, I never thought that you would be hiding in Nemesis Forest. It's your good fortune that our alliance leader has taken a liking to you. You don't know what's good for you. I really don't know what kind of charm you have to make the alliance leader so infatuated with you." Yin Yuqing's face was expressionless. Her expression was calm. "I don't love him. It's that simple." In reality, she did not know why, but she could not find any interest in any man. It was as if there was someone hidden deep in her heart. However, no matter how hard she tried, she could not remember what that man looked like. There was only a blurry figure that seemed to agitate the nerves in her mind. Yin Yuqing. The woman in green was trembling with anger. She glared fiercely at Yin Yuqing. I've come to find you for something else. I remember that before Master passed away, he gave you a seal. Hand over that seal, and I'll spare your life." Yin Yuqing slowly rose to her feet. She was dressed in white and looked as ethereal as a fairy. Her expression was calm and her eyes were unruffled. The Windy Cloud continent is ruled by the 4 nations. They force anyone who is a sky god to join them. That's why Master established the Freedom Alliance. His goal was to protect the freedom of those who were unwilling to join the royal family. However, after Master's death, you went against his wishes and wanted to unify the entire Windy Cloud continent. How are you any different from the 4 nations? Yin Yuqing's voice was overbearing as she walked towards the woman in green. "Because I didn't want to wallow in the mire with you, you want to kill me. And you still keep saying that he loves me." 3 years ago, she left her disciple and headed towards Nemesis Forest in search of medicine. However, just as she had found the medicine, someone sent her a letter saying that her master was gravely ill and wanted her to return to the Alliance. Who knew that what awaited her in the Alliance was an encirclement? Her master had passed on the seal to her before he died. Back then, she didn't know that the current Alliance leader, who was also her senior brother, was a wolf with wild ambitions. In order to obtain the seal, he did not hesitate to poison her. He had even taken advantage of her when she was in danger to seriously injure her. She had then risked her life to escape from the Alliance. She had been on the run all the way until finally, she had chosen to return to Nemesis Forest to recuperate. Yunhuiqing, this isn't up to you. I'm here on the Alliance head's orders to retrieve the seal. The green-robed woman raised her head arrogantly and continued, besides, the Alliance leader truly likes you. If you had just handed over the seal, the Alliance leader would not have hurt you. Instead, she would have cured you of the poison. Unfortunately, you are too disobedient. The Alliance leader is Master's eldest disciple, so it's only right that he should inherit the Alliance. You have only been in the Alliance for over 10 years. Why should the Alliance be handed over to you? Yunhuiqing laughed softly. Even though I don't know what it means to like someone, I do know that when you like someone, you are willing to give everything to them. You would never hurt the person you like. He only wants to possess me, he doesn't like me. Chapter 1961. It seemed like there was a man who truly loved her and loved her as much as his own life. Why couldn't she remember? Yunhuiqing rubbed her aching forehead and frowned slightly. Her frown made her look even more pitiful. The green-clothed lady gritted her teeth. What was so good about this vixen? Why did the Alliance leader like her so much? An ungrateful woman like her did not deserve the Alliance leader's love. Yunhuiqing, don't blame me for being rude if you insist on not handing over the seal. The green-clothed lady sneered. Yunhuiqing was invincible within the ultimate god realm. It could be said that no ultimate god could defeat her. That was why she was so famous in the mainland. However, Yunhuiqing had yet to recover from her injuries. How could she possibly be a match for her? Boom! Yunhuiqing's aura surged when she saw the green-clothed lady about to attack. Her cold gaze was like a sharp sword that pressured the green-clothed lady so much that she could not breathe. Panic flashed through her heart. Wasn't she still injured? Where did she get such a strong aura? Lang Xinyue, do you really think you can do whatever you want just because I'm injured? Back then, I, Yunhuiqing, could defeat dozens of godly venerables on my own. Why would I need to expend so much effort to deal with a mere you? Her lips curled into a faint smile as she looked indifferently at Lang Xinyue. Lang Xinyue's eyes flashed with panic. You're fine. You want to know if I still have my previous strength? You can try. If you hadn't poisoned me, I wouldn't be afraid even if there were 100 of you at the same time. Yunhuiqing took a few steps closer to Lang Xinyue. Lang Xinyue took a few steps back. She was used to being cautious. She didn't dare make a move until she was sure that Yunhuiqing had truly recovered from his injuries. However, she was not willing to be at a disadvantage and bit her lip. Yunhuiqing, I know you accepted a disciple in Drifting Wind Nation. If it wasn't for the Alliance leader dealing with important matters and comforting the old men in the Alliance, I would have gone to find trouble with your disciple long ago. Yunhuiqing's eyes flashed with a cold light and his killing intent surged. However, Lang Xinyue smiled coldly. I don't mind telling you one thing. Recently, in order to deal with our Freedom Alliance, the 4 countries have begun planning to elect a genius to lead the 4 countries. Yunhuiqing stopped and looked coldly at Lang Xinyue, waiting for her to continue. As for the Alliance Master, you've already looked for the Emperor of Golden Sun Country, Qing Feiyang, and asked him to use Nemesis Forest as the venue for the competition. In a few days, the geniuses from all the countries will arrive here. Lang Xinyue raised his chin slightly. According to a reliable source, your disciple is among them. Yun Wuqing narrowed her eyes and clenched her fists tightly. Lang Xingyue laughed coldly. As for this Nemesis forest, it will be their burial ground. Yun Wuqing stared coldly at Lang Xingyue. You said that Qing Feiyang made peace with you. What's in it for him? Of course there are benefits. The Alliance Master promised Qing Feiyang that she would help him raise his strength to the godly supreme realm. You should know that Master has a secret technique that can help people reach the godly supreme realm quickly. However, this secret technique has side effects. Anyone who receives this secret technique will gradually wither and die after a few years. It's laughable that Qing Feiyang is an idiot. When he saw the Alliance Master use the secret technique on someone else in front of him, he believed it without a doubt. However, the Alliance Master lied to him and only said that the Freedom Alliance's target is the people of Drifting Wind Nation. As the fiancée of Drifting Wind Nation's princess, Chi Su will definitely participate. As for the matter of electing the leader of the 4 countries, the Freedom Alliance will not participate. Chapter 1962. Unfortunately, she had not expected Chi Su to join the country of Drifting Wind instead of the country of Drifting Wind. Yun Wuqing gently closed her eyes. After a long while, she opened them again. Her tightly clenched fists were trembling. Have you said enough? If you have, then get out of my sight immediately. Boom! The earth-shattering aura pressed down on Lang Xingyue, causing her expression to change once again. She felt as if she could not breathe under the pressure. Yun Wuqing, I'll let you have your way. Sooner or later, I'll make you kneel before me and beg for mercy. She glared angrily at Yun Wuqing before she turned around and quickly disappeared into thin air. Yun Wuqing was afraid that Lang Xingyue would return, so she did not withdraw her aura. After a long while, when she knew that Lang Xingyue would not return, her body turned limp and she collapsed to the ground, unable to hold on any longer. At that moment, a little tiger with blood-red stripes emerged from the forest. The other spiritual beasts also revealed themselves and walked towards Yun Wuqing. They gently licked her beautiful face with their tongues. I'm fine, don't worry about me. Yun Wuqing smiled. I've used my aura to force her away. However, I don't know if she will return in a few days. When that time comes, you must hide well. Don't let her see you. I don't want to put you in danger because of me. The little tiger raised its head and stared worriedly at Yun Wuqing. Even though the spiritual beasts did not say anything, Yun Wuqing could sense their worry. In a few days, my disciple will most likely arrive in Nemesis Forest. When that time comes, you should pay more attention. If his life is in danger, let me know. If anything else happens, help him if you can. The little tiger nodded and laid down on the ground, allowing Yun Wuqing to rest against its body. Little tiger. Yun Wuqing stroked the little tiger with blood-red stripes. She then swept her gaze across the spiritual beasts and laughed bitterly. Actually, my injuries are getting worse and worse. The poison from back then has not been neutralized. I don't know how much longer I have left to live. In this life, the thing I regret the most is that I have not been able to regain my memories, nor can I remember my family. Yun Wuqing's eyes were filled with sorrow. However, I know that I have a daughter. Every time she woke up in the middle of the night, she would dream of a small figure tugging at her sleeve, crying and begging her not to go. Every time she dreamt of that tiny figure, her heart would throb in pain. If, after I die, I hope that you will be able to leave Nemesis Forest, find my daughter, and obey her orders. In reality, she has been searching for over 10 years, but she still could not find her relatives. How could she count on the spiritual beasts of Nemesis Forest? Even though she had already forgotten the past, a few scenes would occasionally flash through her mind. Those scenes showed that her daughter, like Lil Bling Her, was unable to cultivate. Hence, she hoped that the spiritual beasts of Nemesis Forest would be able to find her and protect her for the rest of her life. Woo, woo. Xiaohu whimpered a few times and rubbed his head against Yun Wuqing. His eyes were filled with tears. The other spirit beasts also let out sorrowful cries. At the same time, in the relay station of Wind Cloud City, Qing Feiyang felt uneasy. He had a feeling that something was about to happen. Your Majesty, Lord Wuzuan has arrived. Qing Feiyang was stunned before he said, invite him in. Chapter 1963. Unlike the other countries, the Golden Sun Nation had 3 godly venerable experts. Lord Wuzuan was one of the 3 ultimate gods. As he spoke, the elder dressed in a long gray robe walked in from outside the door and said directly, Your Majesty, I have something that I am very confused about. The competition that we discussed in Jinyang country was not held in Nemesis Forest. Why did you change the venue at the last minute without discussing it with me? Qing Feiyang's expression changed. He knew that he could not hide this matter from Lord Wuzuan. Hence, he did not hide it anymore and told the old man everything. Idiot! Hearing Qing Feiyang's explanation, Wuzuan's expression changed. Don't you know what kind of person the Freedom Alliance's new leader is? That leader is only in his 40s, but he is sinister and vicious. Do you believe that he lured the geniuses of the 4 nations to Nemesis Forest just to deal with Qi Su? Qing Feiyang was stunned and said weakly, Lord Wuzuan, I don't think so, right? Humph. Do you think the Freedom Alliance doesn't know the purpose of the 4-nation competition? Why would they be stupid enough to help you increase your strength? Isn't that asking for trouble? I suspect that the Freedom Alliance wants to kill all the geniuses of the 4 nations. Wuzuan gritted his teeth and said, call Princess Jin Yang back immediately. Don't let her continue participating in the competition. Wuzuan's eyes flashed coldly as he said sternly. What about the other princes? Our Golden Sun Nation does not lack princes. If you call everyone back, it will definitely arouse suspicion. Hence, let them perish on their own. As for Jin Yang, he is the number 1 genius of our Golden Sun Nation. He cannot be harmed. Yes. Qing Feiyang finally realized that he had trusted the Freedom Alliance because he could not resist the temptation of becoming an ultimate god. If Jin Yang was really in danger, it would not be worth it. Clap. 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 At that moment, a clap came from outside. Qing Feiyang and the others' expressions changed. When they turned around, they saw a middle-aged man in black walking in. Although the man was already middle-aged, he was still very handsome. His eyes were filled with hostility, and his gaze was filled with arrogance. It's you. The look in Qing Feiyang's eyes changed again. Looking at the man who had just walked in, he gritted his teeth and asked, Tell me the truth. You suggested going to Nemesis Forest. Do you want to capture all the geniuses of the 4 nations in one go? That's right. The man did not deny Qing Feiyang's words. The purpose of your 4-nation youth competition is to deal with our Freedom Alliance. Could it be that I can let you go as I please? A cold glint flashed across Qing Feiyang's eyes. Then why have you come to find me now? Of course, I want to help you. The man gently curled the corner of his lips. You've seen my secret technique. It's a piece of cake for me to create an ultimate god. Do you think you can defeat the Freedom Alliance by relying on the alliance of the 4 countries? Qing Feiyang's heart skipped a beat. He recalled the power that the man had displayed earlier, and his forehead began to break out in cold sweat. He raised his head, wanting to wipe off the sweat on his forehead. Who knew that the more he wiped, the more there was, and he was unable to wipe it clean. What is your purpose? Wuzuan asked as he looked coldly at the man. It's very simple. I want your Golden Sun Nation to listen to my commands. Of course, I will do as you wish and help your Golden Sun Nation become the leader of the 4 nations. Furthermore, I will kill the other geniuses of the 4 nations. The man's lips curled up slightly. His voice was filled with a strong killing intent. Chapter 1964. Wuzuan fell silent as he considered the pros and cons. You can refuse, but you will end up the same as the other 4 nations. Even if you let Jin Yang return now, I will still kill her. The man raised his eyebrows as his eerie voice resounded in the study. However, I have long heard of Princess Jin Yang's name and have admired her for a long time. If you agree, Jin Yang will be the object of your marriage. No. Qing Feiyang's expression changed. We do not agree. Jin Yang is not an object of exchange. We will not use her as a bargaining chip. Although Qing Feiyang was muddle-headed, snobbish, and greedy, he truly loved his daughter dearly. Furthermore, Jin Yang was the hope of the Golden Sun country. How could he abandon her? I can agree to this condition on behalf of your majesty. At this moment, Wuzuan spoke up. Lord Wuzuan. Qing Feiyang's face turned ashen. You cannot treat Jin Yang like this. Your Majesty, I know that you love Jin Yang, but she is just a woman. Do you want her to inherit the Golden Sun country? Before this old man had already told Jin Yang that she had to obtain the first rank in this 4-nation youth competition. Otherwise, this old man would let her marry the emperors of the 3 nations. With Jin Yang's status, she must be the empress of any nation. Qing Feiyang's eyes widened. He had not expected Wuzuan to say such a thing to Jin Yang. Of course, I was just trying to scare Jin Yang. The emperors of the 3 nations are not qualified to marry someone who can marry Jin Yang. Thus, I forced her to do her best to win first place. Wuzuan glanced at Qing Feiyang and continued, and now, the Freedom Alliance's leader is willing to marry Jin Yang. Why should we not agree? Qing Feiyang's legs turned to jelly as he fell to the ground. His face was pale. In front of others, the experts of the Golden Sun country would give him face. However, behind the scenes, he did not have the right to make decisions in the Golden Sun country. I think you are mistaken. Just as Qing Feiyang was in despair, the man smiled coldly. I only want Jin Yang to be my woman, not to marry her. The only one who can be my wife is Yun Wuqing. Only she is worthy of my love. The other women can only be concubines. Wuzuan's expression was somewhat unsightly, but the Freedom Alliance was getting stronger and stronger. In addition, this man possessed such a powerful secret technique. It was not up to him to choose. Therefore, Wuzuan gritted his teeth. Okay. Lord Wuzuan. Qing Feiyang could not help but exclaim in disbelief. Wuzuan did not seem to notice his gaze and turned back to the man. Can we summon back the princes of Jinyang country? The man glanced at Wuzuan coldly. With the Freedom Alliance as your backing, what do you need those princes to do? In other words, it was impossible for the princes to stay in Jinyang country anymore. The corners of Qing Feiyang's mouth twitched. His face was filled with pain. Not only had he lost so many sons in this scheme, but he had also lost his most beloved daughter. The funny thing was that he didn't have the ability to save his daughter. That's right. Is there a lady in white beside the second prince of the kingdom of Tianqi? Qing Feiyang's eyes flickered. That lady looks too much like Qing. When the time comes, send her to my bed. Even if he could not obtain Yun Wuqing, finding a substitute was not a bad idea. Who asked him to love that cruel woman so much? Chapter 1965. Don't worry, Alliance Leader. When the time comes, I will definitely give that woman to you as a gift. Wuzuan replied expressionlessly. The man laughed. He flicked his sleeves, turned around, and walked towards the door. The people of the Freedom Alliance have already entered Nemesis Forest. If the Golden Sun country really wants to submit to me, then send people there to kill the geniuses of the 3 countries. His order was equivalent to forcing the Golden Sun country to become enemies with the 3 countries. Qing Feiyang's face paled even more, and his body was extremely weak. What did it mean to shoot oneself in the foot? No one knew it better than him. Your Majesty, this is an opportunity. Wu Zuan looked at Qing Feiyang. If the Golden Sun country sends people there, we might be able to save the lives of those princes. Compared to the Golden Sun country, Wu Zuan was willing to give up the lives of those geniuses. But it would be best to have a chance to keep them alive. All right. Qing Feiyang opened his eyes, and his voice was weak. Lord Wu Zuan, this time, you will personally lead the way, and bring Jin Yang back. Wu Zuan did not speak. The Freedom Alliance was no longer the same as before. Back then, the Freedom Alliance was only for self-preservation. Now, the Freedom Alliance was aggressive. If they wanted to survive on this mainland, they had to be willing to give up. Your Majesty, don't worry. Jin Yang is far better off following the leader of the Freedom Alliance than anyone else. Jin Yang was going to marry sooner or later, and no one in the 4 countries was worthy of her. Therefore, the leader of the Freedom Alliance was definitely her best choice. Bang! At this moment, the sound of someone kicking a stone came from outside the door. Wu Zuan's eyes flashed sharply as he shouted, "Who is it?" Panic flashed across the face of the person outside the door. He turned around and wanted to escape, but very quickly, Wu Zuan and Qing Feiyang both ran out. The Empress. Qing Feiyang was stunned. The Empress had come with them to Wind Cloud City, but they did not expect that their conversation would be discovered by the Empress. In fact, when the leader of the Freedom Alliance was still around, he had already sensed the presence of the Empress. However, he didn't take this weak woman seriously, nor did he wish to taint his hands with her blood. Therefore, he did not bring up the Empress. Empress, go back. Qing Feiyang's voice was filled with anxiety. The Empress's pale face was filled with fear as she knelt down. Your Majesty, do you not know Jin Yang's character? Forcing her to marry a man she does not love is equivalent to asking her to die. Empress, this is a matter between men. Don't get involved. Guards, lock her up. Qing Feiyang glanced at Wu Zuan, who was standing at the side, and hurriedly gave the Empress a look. Although Qing Feiyang was brainless and overbearing, he had true feelings for the Empress. No, Your Majesty, I beg you to retract your order. Otherwise, I would rather die than watch my daughter marry the Freedom Alliance. What pained her even more was that in order to live, Qing Feiyang didn't even care about his daughter's happiness. A look of struggle flashed across Qing Feiyang's eyes, and Wu Zuan happened to notice it. Your Majesty, those who achieve great things do not bother about trifles. Moreover, you are marrying Jin Yang to the Freedom Alliance for the sake of the entire Jin Yang country. As for this woman, she has obviously interfered with Your Majesties. Wu Zuan's eyes were cold and murderous. Chapter 1966. Feeling Wu Zuan's murderous aura, Qing Feiyang panicked. Lord Wu Zuan, the Empress is not sensible. I will keep a close watch on her and prevent her from interfering with official matters. Lord Wu Zuan, please. Before Qing Feiyang could finish speaking, Wu Zuan had already made his move. His body quickly flashed in front of the Empress, his sharp claws fiercely piercing through her chest. Under her unwilling and resentful gaze, he dug out her heart. Bang! The Empress fell to the ground in a pool of blood. Her eyes were wide open, and she died with a grievance. No! Qing Feiyang's eyes were bloodshot as he screamed at the top of his lungs. He clenched his fists tightly and asked in a furious voice, Your Excellency Wu Zuan, the Empress can't interfere with my decision. Why did you kill her? Your Majesty, I've long felt that this woman would be able to move you. It's just that she didn't go too far before, so I turned a blind eye. But now, this matter concerns the entire Jin Yang country. I won't allow you to struggle like this. Wuzuan's expression was cold as he glanced at the woman in the pool of blood with disgust. Moreover, as the emperor, isn't it easy for you to marry an empress? A disobedient woman can only end up like this. Qing Feiyang took a deep breath. If Jinyang finds out about this, do you think she will still listen to our arrangements and marry the leader of the Freedom Alliance? If the Empress is still alive, we can still use her to threaten her. At this moment, Qing Feiyang's heart was trembling. He closed his eyes, and his pale face was drained of blood. He regretted it. He regretted forming a relationship with the Freedom Alliance. Otherwise, not only would he have stuck to his daughter, but even his wife would not have died. Only we know about the Empress' death. How would Jinyang know? When the time comes, we can say that the Empress was captured by the Freedom Alliance. We can use this to force her and guarantee that Jinyang will marry into the Freedom Alliance. Wuzuan had already thought of an excuse, and his face was filled with a confident smile. Qing Feiyang closed his eyes slightly. There was an unconcealable pain between his brows, but in the face of the powerful Lord Wuzuan, he could not resist at all. Your Majesty, you saw what happened to the Empress. If you dare to say anything to Jinyang, I guarantee that he will not live. Wuzuan threatened. Qing Feiyang's body trembled. After a long time, he opened his eyes and said, Not only am I a father, I am also the Emperor of Jinyang country. For the sake of Jinyang country, I will not speak carelessly. I hope so. Wuzuan smiled coldly as he waved his sleeves and walked out of the courtyard. After Wuzuan left, Qing Feiyang's legs went soft, and he fell to the ground. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have brought the Empress here. At this moment, no one noticed that when the Empress died, her eyes were fixed on a corner not far away. In the corner, a palace maid covered her mouth tightly, not allowing herself to cry out. Tears flowed down her eyes as she looked at the Empress in the pool of blood without blinking. In reality, before this, the Empress was not eavesdropping alone outside. There was also this palace maid here at the same time. Wuzuan's SSA King and said, and she said, and said's chent, she, and said, King. Chen's, King, and T, of course, she did not do this to save the maid. She just hoped that someone could send a message to Jinyang. It was also because of the Empress's actions that this palace maid was not discovered from beginning to end. Chapter 1967. No, I have to look for the princess. After Wuzuan and Qing Feiyang left, the palace maid quickly ran out of the relay station. But she had only taken a few steps when she bumped into Mo Qianqing, who was coming towards her. Mo Qianqing was furious when he realized that Yun Luofeng had left him behind. Now that he had bumped into the palace maid, he shouted angrily, Are you from the kingdom of Tianqi? You. The palace maid stood up and looked at the young man in front of her. She thought for a moment and asked, Are you from the kingdom of Tianqi? It was no secret that only 4 people from the kingdom of Tianqi had come to Windcloud City. Naturally, the palace maid had gone to watch the commotion and remembered the young man standing next to Yun Luofeng. Suddenly, the palace maid seemed to recall something and said hurriedly, Since you are from the kingdom of Tianqi, hurry to Nemesis Forest. Nemesis Forest. Mo Qianqing tilted his head in confusion. The geniuses from the 4 nations are going to Nemesis Forest to participate in the competition. However, this competition is a conspiracy by the Freedom Alliance. All the geniuses in Nemesis Forest will be in danger. When the palace maid finished speaking, Mo Qianqing's expression changed drastically. A vicious aura emerged from his body and he dashed out of the relay station with a swoosh. This palace maid was too stupid. She only knew that Mo Qianqing was from the kingdom of Tianqi, but she did not know if Mo Qianqing had been recruited by Qing Feiyang. Hence, she had told him this secret. If it had been someone else, she might have suffered the calamity of having her entire family annihilated. Unfortunately, the palace maid had no other choice. She did not know how long it would take for her to reach Nemesis Forest with her speed. However, Enchanting had coincidentally bumped into her at this time. She seemed to have grabbed onto a life-saving straw and told him about this matter. Now that she saw Enchanting leave, the palace maid finally heaved a sigh of relief. However, she did not relax because of this and hurriedly walked out. Nemesis Forest stretched as far as the eye could see. Many geniuses had already rushed into the forest. As they looked at the dense forest, those who had experienced countless difficulties would feel timid. "Your Highness." Suddenly, a guard moved closer to Jin Yang and whispered, "His Majesty just sent a letter. He told you not to enter Nemesis Forest." Jin Yang was stunned and his eyes were filled with astonishment. "Why? This competition is so important, why do you want me to withdraw?" Lord Wuzun had said that if she did not win the championship, he would order her to marry the emperors of the 4 countries. However, she had always been proud and arrogant. How could she be willing to share a husband with another woman? So, in order to not be randomly assigned by Wuzun, she could only win and not lose. "I don't know either. It was His Majesty's order for you to leave secretly and not tell anyone. Not even my royal brothers. This is His Majesty's order." Jin Yang fell silent. Ever since then, she had felt a little flustered, as if something had happened. But now, in the face of such an important competition, Father Emperor had actually asked her to withdraw from the competition. Furthermore, he didn't want to let her brothers know. Jin Yang took a deep breath and said, "I understand. You will leave soon." "Your Highness, now you." Jin Yang didn't say anything and slowly walked towards Yun Luofeng. When Chi Su and the others saw Jin Yang approaching, their eyes turned cold and vigilant, as if they were afraid that she would suddenly attack them. After all, they were now in Nemesis Forest. According to the rules, the geniuses could attack each other. Chapter 1968. What's your name? Jin Yang looked at Yun Luofeng and asked. Yun Luofeng glanced at Jin Yang and slightly curled the corners of her lips. Yun Luofeng. I admire you. If there's a chance, I must challenge you to a battle. Jin Yang's cold brows carried a hint of arrogance and her tone was even more domineering. Her high-pitched voice fell into everyone's ears. The guards, who had thought that Jin Yang wanted to say something, heaved a sigh of relief when they heard this. The princess had always been belligerent. It was normal for her to issue a challenge. However, they did not understand why the princess would be so interested in this woman. Could it be that she could fight against the princess? Jin Yang lowered his eyes and deliberately lowered his voice. My imperial father has ordered me to retreat. He doesn't want me to tell anyone about this. Be careful when you're in Nemesis Forest. I have a feeling that something is about to happen. Her voice was very soft, so soft that only Yun Luofeng, Chi Su, and the others could hear it. After saying this, Jin Yang turned around and left. From the first time she saw Yun Luofeng, she had treated this woman as her opponent. It did not matter if they became friends or enemies in the future. She did not want this woman to die in Nemesis Forest. Miss Yun, what does she mean by this? Chi Su was stunned and asked in confusion. Yun Luofeng gently narrowed her eyes. After you enter Nemesis Forest, be careful. Princess Jin Yang would not have reminded us of this for no reason. In reality, before this, Yun Luofeng had not felt much about Jin Yang. But now, she had reminded her. If what Jin Yang had said was true, then this competition would not be so simple. We can go now. Jin Yang walked in front of the guards and calmly looked at the rest of the people from Jin Sun Country. I have something to do and have to leave. You can enter Nemesis Forest first. I will be back soon. The rest of the people from Jin Sun Country did not notice the strangeness in Jin Yang's words. Furthermore, from their point of view, no matter what happened, Jin Yang would not abandon such an important competition. Jin Yang did not have much affection for these princes. In fact, she hated them. As such, she did not warn them and walked down the mountain on her own. At that moment, Jin Yang still didn't know that because of her warning to Yun Luofeng, a hand would drag her out of the wolf's den the instant she fell into it in the future. Jin Yang's departure did not cause too much of a stir among the geniuses. To them, it was best if Jin Yang didn't participate in the competition. That way, they would have a chance to win first place. On the contrary, Yun Luofeng was in deep thought because of Jin Yang's words, second imperial brother. Qi Yu curled the corners of his lips and gently walked towards Qi Ling. He then raised his head arrogantly, "You'd better be careful in this nemesis forest. Otherwise, I'm afraid that not even your bones will be left." Ha ha ha. Qi Yu laughed and led the army behind him into the forest. Qi Ling acted as if he did not hear him. His eyelids did not even twitch, as if he had completely ignored his existence. "Let's go too." Everyone had already walked in. Yun Luofeng glanced at the few people behind him, then his gaze landed on Mu Shuoxin's face. "You can come with us." Mu Shuoxin was overjoyed and quickly nodded, "Okay." Of course, when Yun Luofeng's words fell into the ears of the people from the other countries, they thought that she was timid and wanted to rely on the soldiers of Drifting Wind Country to show off her might. Chapter 1969. At this moment, it was exceptionally quiet in Nemesis Forest. Even the sound of their footsteps on the ground could be heard clearly. Even though they had encountered countless spiritual beasts along the way, before Yun Luofeng could make a move, Qi Ling and the rest had already dealt with the spiritual beasts. "We haven't been able to find where the jade seal has been hidden along the way. If we continue, I'm afraid that we will reach the depths of Nemesis Forest." Qi Su glanced at Yun Luofeng and slowly asked, "Miss Yun, should we continue?" Yun Luofeng looked at the empty space behind her. She could sense a familiar aura in the space behind her and gently raised the corners of her lips, "Let's continue." It was as if Yun Shao following behind her would make her fearless. "All right." Qi Su and the rest no longer hesitated and nodded in response. Hence, the group did not stop and continued to walk deeper into the forest. The deeper they went, the stronger the spiritual beasts they encountered. Yun Luofeng slowly retracted her emotions and no longer let her guard down like before. "Miss Yun, look." Suddenly, Qi Su pointed at a giant bird flying in the sky. His eyes were filled with excitement. "Look, isn't that bird holding a jade seal in its beak?" Hearing this, Yun Luofeng raised her head and looked. At that moment, the image of a giant, fiery-colored bird flying across the sky was reflected in her eyes. What was even more clear was the jade seal in the bird's beak. The bird must have unintentionally picked up the jade seal in the forest but did not know what it was used for. Hence, it left with it in its beak and coincidentally flew right in front of them. "Qi Su, take down this firebird." "All right." Qi Su raised his hand and a wave of spiritual energy gathered in his palm, turning into a sharp sword which shot towards the bird with a loud bang. In that instant, the bird let out a mournful cry and fell from the sky, landing heavily on the ground. In reality, along the way, Qi Su and the rest had held back their strength. Only against spiritual beasts that wanted to kill them would he give them a taste of their own medicine. For spiritual beasts like the bird that did not provoke them, he only injured them and did not kill them. It really is the Jade Seal. This is the Jade Seal of Drifting Wind Country. Mu Shuoxin's heart flashed with joy. She quickly walked up to Qi Su and curled the corners of her lips. "Miss Yun," Mu Shuoxin thought for a moment and handed the Jade Seal to Yun Luofeng. "I'll give this Jade Seal to you. Compared to someone else ruling the 4 countries, I would rather you be the one." Yun Luofeng did not stand on ceremony with her and kept the Jade Seal. "Let's continue." They didn't know if it was because they were lucky, but after a while, they found a cave. Behind the cave was the imperial jade seal of Jinyang country. It didn't take much effort for them to obtain the imperial jade seal. There were only 4 jade seals in total, and Yun Luofeng had already obtained 2. This meant that she already had a 50% chance of winning. Just as they continued to move forward, they suddenly found that the people of Jinyang country and Qiao Zishuan of the Purple Moon country were already fighting. Qiao Zishuan, hand over the jade seal. The prince of Jinyang country's face was cold and stern as he shouted. If you want the jade seal, then come and get it. If you don't have the ability, then what is the point? Qiao Zishuan said fearlessly. Chapter 1970. If the Golden Sun Princess was still here, he would be a little afraid. However, the Golden Sun Princess has not entered Nemesis Forest yet. Why would he be afraid of the person in front of him? Qiao Zishuan, you really refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. The Prince of the Golden Sun country sneered and said contemptuously. Qiao Zishuan wanted to go back, but at this moment, he saw Yun Luofeng and the others appear in his line of sight. He was stunned for a moment before he sneered, Qingli, the teams from the Tianqi country and Drifting Wind country have also arrived. They must also have the Jade Seal. How about we join forces to deal with them? At the thought of Yun Shao killing Qiao Yefeng, Qiao Zishuan gnashed his teeth in hatred and a cold light flashed in his eyes. The Prince of the Golden Sun country, Qingli, looked at Yun Luofeng, obviously thinking about Qiao Zishuan's proposal. After a long time, he said, if that's the case, then let's snatch the thing in her hands first. The 4 countries had gathered. Apart from the people brought by Qiyu, everyone else had arrived. It was obvious that the Drifting Wind country and the Tianqi country were on the same side, and the Golden Sun country and the Purple Moon country had formed an alliance. Yun Luofeng crossed his arms over his chest. The smile on his lips was lazy and evil as he leaned lazily against the ancient tree behind him. Are you sure you want to fight now? Qiao Zishuan snorted coldly. If you know what's good for you and hand over the Jade Seal, we will spare your life. In Nemesis Forest, there were endless dangers. Therefore, even if he killed Yun Luofeng here, no one would know. Yun Luofeng put down his arms and smiled faintly. Unfortunately, you won't have the chance, Yun Yi. Whoosh! In an instant, a light flashed and Yun Yi's burly body landed heavily on the ground, his face expressionless. Heavenly God. He did not hide his aura at all, and everyone present was stunned. Qiao Zishuan gritted his teeth. Mu Shuoxin from the Drifting Wind country is not enough, and the Tianqi country is small in number. With our combined strength, we may be able to deal with this heavenly God. As soon as he finished speaking, Qiao Zishuan ordered the people behind him to rush forward. However, before those people could reach Yun Luofeng and the others, a black eagle-like figure slowly appeared in the sky and quickly landed in front of Yun Luofeng. The man was handsome, cold, and tall, but it caused Qiao Zishuan's expression to change drastically, his eyes surging with fear. You! Why are you here? The Ghost Emperor actually followed him here. Didn't they know that they were breaking the rules? Yun Shao did not speak, he did not even look at Qiao Zishuan from the beginning to the end. He shielded Yun Luofeng in his arms as his handsome features slowly grew cold. Someone's coming, moreover, it wasn't just 1 or 2 of them. Before Qiao Zishuan and the others could recover from their shock, they saw countless figures flying over from the void not far away. Those people's auras were very powerful, so powerful that even the heavens and the earth paled in comparison. The people of the Golden Sun country, who were originally in a state of panic, suddenly saw Wu Zun among the group of people, and the fear in their eyes turned into joy. Lord Wu Zun. Unfortunately, Wu Zun did not even look at them. His eyes were filled with a cold light as a murderous aura enveloped the entire area. The people of the Golden Sun country finally realized that something was wrong and shut their mouths, not saying another word. Lord Wu Zun of the Golden Sun country, why are you here? Xiao Zixuan was stunned. He did not think that Wu Zun had followed Yun Shao here because he knew that he had come to disrupt the competition. Chapter 1971. At that moment, Xiao Zixuan recalled Princess Jin Yang's sudden departure. Somehow, he felt uneasy. More importantly, the people who came with Wu Zun were all ultimate god experts. Since when were there so many ultimate god experts in the continent? Ha ha ha. Looks like everyone is here except for that useless third prince from the Tianqi kingdom. However, it's fine if that useless person isn't here. It doesn't matter. A lovely laugh rang out. A beautiful woman in green walked out from the group of people. The woman's eyes swept across and saw the woman beside Yun Shao. A hint of jealousy appeared in her eyes. Yun Yuqing was one thing, but now, there was another woman who looked exactly like Yun Yuqing. Especially since the Alliance Master was interested in this woman. Miss Xinyue, I wonder if you can let these geniuses from the Golden Sun country go. Wu Zun turned to the woman in green and asked cautiously. This woman was not only the Alliance Master's junior sister but also his concubine. He could not afford to offend her. The Alliance Master has ordered that all the geniuses who came to Nemesis Forest will be killed, including the Golden Sun country. Lang Xinyue's eyes flashed with disdain as she said coldly. Wu Zun's expression changed. He looked at the people from the Golden Sun country and wanted to say something but could not find the words. Lord Wu Zun, what's going on? Cheng Li's expression was very ugly as he clenched his fists tightly. Jin Yang also said that she had something to do and left. Did she know what we were going to face? Wu Zun glanced at Cheng Li and said indifferently, Jin Yang doesn't know anything. She was just lucky that the Freedom Alliance Master took a liking to her. That's why I let her leave first. Does father know about this? Cheng Li gritted his teeth. His Majesty has known for a long time. The agreement with the Alliance was also made by His Majesty. Originally, the people from the Golden Sun country still had hope in their hearts, especially Cheng Li. He still respected and admired his father. However, these people were telling him that his father had decided to give up on them. No. Cheng Li clenched his fists and shouted at the top of his lungs, You're lying to me. I'm Imperial Father's son after all. How could Imperial Father treat me like this? Your Highness the Fourth Prince, His Majesty also has his own difficulties, but he has no other choice. This is an order from the Freedom Alliance, and we cannot disobey it. It was obvious that the Jinyang nation was already a part of the Freedom Alliance. They didn't dare to go against the Alliance's orders. Qi Ling's eyes flashed coldly. So, our coming to Nemesis Forest is also part of the Jinyang country and the Freedom Alliance's scheme. He said that he wanted the four nations to join forces to deal with the Freedom Alliance, but in the end, he became the Freedom Alliance's lackey. You want to capture all four countries in one fell swoop. That's right, Wu Zun did not deny it. Right now, Nemesis Forest will be your burial ground. However, on account that you are from the four nations, this old man will allow you to understand yourselves. His voice was very arrogant, and it was obvious that he did not take this group of geniuses seriously. He did not think he could defeat so many ultimate god experts on his own. Even the Ghost Emperor was the only one he was a little afraid of. That was obviously impossible. Yun Shao stood by Yun Luofeng's side and protected her in his arms. His cold eyes looked at the many experts who surrounded them, and the murderous intent in his black eyes was gradually revealed. Chapter 1972. The geniuses from the various countries were filled with despair. The faces of the people from Jinyang country were ashen. They had worked so hard to fight for their country, but in the end, they had been abandoned. No, I don't believe it. Cheng Li clutched his head tightly and howled in agony. Father would never do this to me, never. Where's Jinyang? Where's she? Suddenly, Cheng Li thought of Jinyang who had left, and a trace of anger flashed across his pained eyes. Jin Yang must have found out about this long ago. That's why he had left so early. What a pity that they were still fighting for their country's honor. Where Jin Yang goes has nothing to do with you. Wu Zuan's expression turned cold. I only know that everyone who has come to Nemesis Forest today will be buried here. Boom. Wu Zuan's aura crushed down like a mountain. Cheng Li's face was pale and he could not say a word. The pain in his eyes could not be concealed no matter how hard he tried. Run! Qiao Zishuan gritted his teeth, turned around and leaped towards the back of the mountain. However, he had only taken a few steps when a sharp swordlight suddenly attacked him and ruthlessly pierced through his chest. Fresh blood spurted out from his chest, causing his eyes to widen. He unwillingly fell to the ground and lost all signs of life. Who else wants to try and escape? Lang Xinyue smiled coldly and raised the corners of his lips in disdain. In this world, no one has ever escaped from me, Lang Xinyue's pursuit. You are no exception. Except for that woman, Yun Wuqing, however, there would not be two Yun Wuqing in this world. Lang Xinyue's eyes swept across the crowd and looked at Yun Luofeng once again. His face was so similar to Yun Yueqing's that she could not wait to tear it apart. Let's see how he would be able to seduce another man. Leave it to me. Yun Xiao lowered her eyes and whispered into Yun Luofeng's ear. After he said that, he let go of the woman in his arms and glared at the crowd in the void with a pair of cold eyes. Whoosh! At this moment, the man's energy was completely unleashed. His expression was grave and stern, and his long black robe fluttered in the wind. He was like a hawk in the darkness, so powerful that it struck fear into the hearts of people. Lang Xinyue's mind also couldn't help but restrain, and his gaze towards Yun Xiao gradually became cautious. All of you, attack. Other than that woman, leave no one alive. That woman was the Alliance Master's designated replacement, so no matter how much she wanted to kill her, she had to control her. The experts in the sky pressed down, all of them leaping towards the crowd on the ground. Because of Qiao Zishuan's death, the Purple Moon Kingdom has become a group of dragons without a leader. These famous geniuses in the country have fallen into a pool of blood under the slaughter of this group of strong people. Miss Yun, these people are ultimate gods. I'm afraid we won't be able to escape this time. Qi Ling's face was filled with despair. At this moment, the first person he thought of was his deceased wife's younger sister. If he were to die in Nemesis Forest, who would be able to protect her in the future? He was afraid that she would be sold by her relatives again. Yun Luofeng gently squinted her eyes and crossed her arms in front of her chest while leaning against the tree trunk. Her lazy eyes had a faint light in them, and the corners of her lips were curved into a smile. Chi Su was delighted to see Yun Luofeng's calm expression. Is Miss Yun thinking of a way to deal with this group of ultimate gods? Chapter 1973. No, Yun Luofeng faintly answered with a smile. Then what are you thinking about, Miss Yun? I'm thinking, why is my man so graceful even when he's killing someone? Chi Su was petrified. At such a critical moment, you're still in the mood to feed those single dogs dog food. At the same time, Lang Xinyue's expression turned more solemn than before. In the air, facing the reverend god's coercion, the man's movements were still very agile and he was not forced to stop for a moment by any attacks. When did such a genius appear on this continent? Other than that damn woman Yun Wuqing, who else could face so many reverend gods and not be at a disadvantage? No, if this continues, I'm afraid there will be changes. Lang Xinyue narrowed her eyes and suddenly looked at the woman in the crowd, a fierce glint flashing through her eyes. Stop this man for me. After saying this, Lang Xinyue swiftly rushed toward Yun Luofeng below. In the sky, Yun Xiao looked down at Lang Xinyue who was rushing toward Yun Luofeng and a mocking smile turned up on his lips. No one knew his woman better than him. How could a reverend god hurt her? Then she was underestimating her too much. However, Yun Xiao still moved. With a lift of his hand, a fierce wind slashed down from the sky and rushed toward Lang Xinyue. Ignoring the attacks behind her, Lang Xinyue quickly caught up with Yun Luofeng. A fierce glint flashed through her eyes and she raised her hand, wanting to strangle Yun Luofeng's neck. However, just as her hand was about to land on Yun Luofeng's neck, an arm firmly grasped her hand without warning. You said that no one who comes to the forest of heaven's trial can leave. Then I'll return those words to you. Boom! In an instant, the woman's body was covered by a layer of dragon scales. She exerted force on her wrist and slammed her palm on Lang Xinyue's chest. If it was in the past, with Lang Xinyue's strength, she might not be hit by Yun Luofeng. Unfortunately, she was too careless this time and did not expect this woman, who was only a heavenly god, to be able to suppress her. Just as Lang Xinyue retreated a few steps, Yun Zhao's attack also approached her from behind. With a bang, her body was sent flying and she continuously spat out blood. The woman standing in front of her was covered in white dragon scales. Her eyes were cold and sharp, and she was looking down at her with her arms crossed. Lang Xinyue's face was a little pale. Suddenly, she laughed. I didn't expect you to be so powerful at such a young age. Even that woman is not as talented as you. Unfortunately, the alliance leader won't let you off. Who asked you to look so much like her? Yun Luofeng slightly narrowed her eyes, and a cold glint suddenly appeared in her eyes. Tell me why you're here. Lang Xinyue closed her eyes slightly. This time, they were really careless. They didn't expect that there would be two such powerful people in the four countries. First, Yun Zhao, who was able to effortlessly deal with so many reverent gods by himself. Now, this woman, who was a heavenly god, possessed such powerful strength. Just by looking at these two people, she knew that she had lost this strategy. At this time, the remaining people in the four countries were all dumbfounded. Qi Su and Qi Ling had long known of Yun Luofeng's strength. Chapter 1974. However, the others did not know. Cheng Li's eyes widened in shock as he stared at the handsome black-robed man in the sky with astonishment. Then, he looked at the white-robed woman standing on the narrow, winding path. His expression changed from despair to hope. However, more than that, it was the shock in his heart. Jin Yang was very talented and was known as the number one in the four nations. However, Jin Yang did not have the strength to resist the attacks of the ultimate gods. He did not even have the ability to remain calm under the threat of so many ultimate gods. The people of Jinyang country originally looked down on Yun Luofeng and the others. Otherwise, they would not have planned to ally with the Purple Moon country. However, Yun Luofeng and Yun Zhao's strength made them feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. Fortunately, the people of the Freedom Alliance came in time. Otherwise, they would have made a mistake that they could never make up for. Even without Yun Zhao's appearance, Yun Luofeng could fight against the ultimate gods. How could they fight? Could they? If it wasn't for that idiot Xiao Zishuan, he would not have wanted to take the jade seal from Yun Luofeng. Thinking of this, Qingli gritted his teeth. If Xiao Zishuan was still alive, he would definitely tear that damn bastard into pieces. Hee hee. Lang Xinyue crawled up from the ground and laughed icily. Her lips curled into a mocking smile as she said, "Even though I've underestimated your powers, I'll make you suffer this time as well." As soon as she finished speaking, she took out a flute from somewhere and started playing it. As soon as he heard the sound, Yun Luofeng knew that she was playing the music of beast control. As expected, following the sound of the flute, all the spirit beasts within 100 miles rushed towards Yun Luofeng and the others at a fierce and fast speed. Qi Su. Mu Shuoxin's heart tightened and she subconsciously held Qi Su's hand. Her clear and bright eyes were filled with worry. Qi Su held her little hand instead, as if to give her strength. Facing the panic of the crowd, Yun Luofeng stood under the breeze, calm and indifferent. His evil black eyes were calm, without a ripple of emotion. What was the stampede of beasts? At this moment, everyone clearly saw it. As these spiritual beasts ran wildly, the ground trembled incessantly. It was as if all the spiritual beasts in Nemesis Forest were surging out at the same time. Lang Xingyue put down her flute. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth as she said sarcastically, "I want to see if you can handle so many godly venerables and spirit beasts." Even if Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao could deal with it, the others would not be able to escape death. Yun Luofeng was already prepared for battle. Dragon scale armor covered her entire body, and even her face was covered in white dragon scales. She looked majestic, like a general who could destroy the world. The leader of the group of spiritual beasts was a small tiger with blood-colored stripes. It let out a mighty roar and charged swiftly, leaving a cloud of dust behind it. But, when the spirit beasts rushed past the people of the Golden Sun country, they did not even stop. Perhaps it was because of the abnormal reaction of these spirit beasts that Yun Luofeng did not make the first move. Instead, he watched as the spirit beasts got closer and closer. Roar! The blood-colored striped tiger let out a mighty roar and charged towards Lang Xingyue. As for the flying beasts, they attacked the godly venerables who were fighting Yun Xiao. Lang Xinyue's smile froze before she could even disappear. She was scared silly by the scene in front of her. She did not even have time to react when the group of spiritual beasts was right in front of her. Only when a claw scratched her face did she cry out in shock and anger. Chapter 1975. What do you want? I'm your master. Her beast-taming skill was useless now. Impossible. She had just tried it a few days ago. Even the people from the four nations were dumbfounded, let alone the people from the Freedom Alliance. What was going on? Did Lang Xinyue's beast-taming skill backfire? Otherwise, why would the spiritual beasts she controlled attack them instead? The beasts' attacks were ferocious, but the ultimate gods were almost exhausted when they fought with Yun Xiao. Hence, more than half of them were dead in a short while. The blood-colored striped tiger stopped in front of Yun Luofeng and looked at her curiously. A hint of doubt flashed across its eyes. Strange. Why does this human woman have a similar aura to Master Yu Qing's? Could she be the daughter Master Yu Qing had been looking for? Deep in Nemesis Forest, Yun Yuqing was lying on the ground. Her body curled into a ball and her face was terrifyingly pale. Compared to the eruption of the poison in her body, the pain in her head felt like it was about to explode. It was as if a force had rushed through her brain and was about to break out. Yun family. Brother Yang, Feng her, Yun Yuqing closed her eyes slightly under the intense pain. A tear rolled down her cheek. I finally remember, she was the daughter-in-law of the Yun family, Yun Yang's wife. Yun Yuqing's fingers squeezed her chest tightly, her heart aching terribly. Her beautiful face was so pale that it was devoid of color. Her expression was as fragile as a piece of paper that could shatter at any time. Should I thank my good senior brother or hate him? If he hadn't poisoned me, I wouldn't have recalled all my memories when the poison erupted. But why do I have to remember all those painful things when I'm about to die? She had been suppressing the poison all these years to be able to live safely. Now, her power could no longer suppress the poison's eruption. However, she never expected that she would remember everything in the past on the eve of her death. She even remembered her husband's death. If I can't remember anything, perhaps I can still die peacefully. Yun Yuqing's vision began to blur and his eyes dimmed. Brother Yang, you're no longer here, but I've dragged out an ignoble existence all by myself. Now, I can finally go down and accompany you. Her vision became more and more blurry. Vaguely, she saw a figure in white sitting on a small tiger with blood-red stripes, quickly running towards her. Brother Yang, I'm sorry, I'm here to accompany you. Yun Yuqing closed her eyes. The moment she closed her eyes, she seemed to see the nervousness and worry of the woman on the little tiger's back. Woo woo. Little Tiger stopped and continued to whimper. His eyes were filled with sorrow and his eyes were filled with tears. Yun Luofeng quickly got down from Little Tiger's body and hurried to Yun Yueqing's side. When she felt the woman's weak breathing, she slowly relaxed. "Shut up, she's not dead yet." When the little tiger heard this, it closed its eyes quietly. Only then did Yun Luofeng examine Yun Yueqing's injuries in peace. Just now, Little Tiger had sensed an aura similar to Yun Yueqing's from Yun Luofeng's body. That was why he had asked Yun Luofeng about their relationship. Chapter 1976. Yes, Little Tiger could speak. It was just that spiritual beasts like them were used to living in Nemesis Forest and rarely used human language to communicate. After all, it was impossible for a godly venerable realm spiritual beast to not know human language. Yun Luofeng had left the battlefield and asked Little Tiger to bring her here after learning that Yun Yueqing was also in Nemesis Forest and was severely injured. As for those godly venerable realm cultivators, Yun Shao would take care of them soon. This is an antidote herb. Feed it to her and temporarily control the poison. However, it will take some time to expel the poison. Yun Luofeng frowned. Yun Yueqing. Oh, no, Bai Ling's poison was more complicated. It was the most difficult poison she had ever encountered. It could not be completely removed in a short period of time. This poison would take at least half a month to be removed. After feeding Bai Ling the antidote herb, Yun Luofeng quickly took out a silver needle and pierced it into her heart. She then took out Little Worm from the divine grimoire space and said, "Give me a drop of blood." What? Little Worm was shocked and said weakly, "Master, you know how important blood is to the dragon clan. If you take away a drop of blood, I will need a few months to recover." "You're from the ancestral dragon clan, right?" Yun Luofeng asked calmly. Little Worm's eyes flashed with caution. "Why do you ask? Do you want to return to your real clan?" Little Worm was the dragon clan's ancestor, but that did not mean the dragon clan was born because of him. Instead, Little Worm came from the ancestral dragon clan. To normal dragon clan members, any ancestral dragon was their ancestor. Little Worm's gaze became even more cautious. "Mistress, just say what you want. Will you really help me return to the ancestral dragon clan?" "That's right. I'm guessing that the ancestral dragon clan migrated with the birth of the spirit god continent many years ago. If you give me a drop of blood essence, I'll help you return to the ancestral dragon clan. This is a fair deal." Little Worm's eyes lit up when he saw the woman's calm expression. As long as he could return to the ancestral dragon clan, he would be willing to give 10 drops of blood, let alone 1. "All right, it's a deal." The little worm wriggled its little butt excitedly. It bit its own tongue and forced a drop of blood out of its mouth, slowly drifting into Bai Ling's mouth. With the help of this drop of blood, Bai Ling's face gradually regained its rosy color. Wisps of black gas also floated out of her chest along with the silver needle. Bai Ling, who was lying on the ground, let out a soft moan and opened her eyes slightly. As soon as she opened her eyes, she felt a warm tongue licking her face, causing her expression to change. "I'm not dead." Bai Ling did not want to die before she regained her memory. However, when she regained her memory, she recalled the scene of her husband's tragic death. To her, living would only increase the pain. "Don't tell me you want to end this by killing yourself. Don't tell me you think death is a release. No, you're dead. You're free, but you're making the living suffer. Grandfather's hair has already turned white all these years because of you. Second uncle has suffered for so many years." Yun Luofeng looked at Bai Ling's pained expression and continued, "Qi Su has also been chased out of the Qi family. Qi Ling even said that once she has the power, she will come to Nemesis Forest to look for you. So many people care about you and care about you. You only want to free yourself, but have you never thought about your loved ones who are still alive?" Chapter 1977. Yun Luofeng's words caused Bai Ling's body to tremble. She raised her eyes in astonishment. In an instant, a beautiful and demonic face appeared in her line of sight. This woman was dressed in clothes as white as snow. Her facial features were very similar to Bai Ling's, but she was more domineering and demonic. Bai Ling hurriedly covered her mouth as tears flowed down from her eyes. All these years, even though she had lost her memory, she still remembered that there was a daughter waiting for her at home. But now, her daughter was standing in front of her, but she didn't dare to acknowledge her. It's Feng, her? Yun Luofeng's expression gradually softened. Her words confirmed her identity. Mother, grandfather and second uncle are all waiting for you at home. If they know that you are still alive, they will definitely be very happy. Do you have the heart to let them never see you again in their lifetime? Bai Ling put her hand down as tears flowed freely down her face. She suddenly stood up from the ground and rushed over to hug the woman in front of her tightly. Feng, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. All these years, I've never returned to see you. Ever since father and mother left, did those people bully you? She sobbed so hard that her voice couldn't be heard. She didn't know how her daughter had passed all these years that she had been away. Every time she thought of this, her heart would be surrounded by guilt. After a long time, she finally let go of the woman in front of her. Her eyes were filled with tears. All these years, have your grandfather and second uncle been well? Back then, second uncle thought that you and father had died. He wanted to work hard to increase his strength and avenge you. Who knew that because his talent was too strong, he would attract a spoiled brat to compete with him? He defeated that spoiled brat, but that brought about the revenge of the spoiled brat's family. Under those people's revenge, second uncle's strength was crippled and his body was crippled. In order to survive, he pretended to be dead and hid in a dark secret room. He hid for more than 10 years. Yun Luofeng's words made Bai Ling's lips tremble. Her heart was gripped tightly and the pain was unbearable. This brother-in-law of mine is such a virtuous person. What kind of environment caused him to live in such humiliation? He just didn't want the old man to have to watch his son die before him again. Feng, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. She really did not know that in all these years, the Yun family had suffered such a huge change. This can't be blamed on you, because you've lost your memories. Yun Luofeng seemed to think of something and continued to ask, that's right, since you're still alive, then father, was he still alive? Bai Ling's body stiffened and her beautiful face turned pale. She slowly closed her eyes as the space between her brows was filled with unspeakable agony. Your father, he's dead. It was she who had personally witnessed that man being pierced by thousands of arrows in front of her, and it was also she who had watched him lose his breath. He was dead. But she had dragged on until now, and had even forgotten about him. Yun Luofeng's heart shrank slightly. She looked at Bai Ling's curled-up body and slowly walked forward. She used her arms to gently embrace the fragile woman in front of her. Father is still alive. Bai Ling was taken aback. She raised her head in surprise and looked at Yun Luofeng's evil face. He's still alive, it's just that he can't appear in front of us. He's definitely somewhere else, moving at the same pace as us. When a person dies, as long as his soul is not destroyed, then he is not truly dead. Chapter 1978. Otherwise, she would not have been able to come to this continent from China. Of course, it was because of little Mo that she could transmigrate. Yun Yang would not have such luck, but now, she could only comfort Bai Ling with such words. Otherwise, she did not know if Bai Ling would be able to survive. Fenger, you don't have to comfort me. Bai Ling stood up from the ground again. If I hadn't seen you, I would have followed your father. I wouldn't have let him be alone. But in this life, I have owed you too much. How could I leave you behind again? Bai Ling chuckled bitterly. Your father and I were fated, but not fated. when she had just recovered her memory, Bai Ling could not bear the pain of her loved ones leaving. Now, however, she had calmed down. No matter how much pain she felt, she had to persevere for her family members who were still alive. Right, Feng'er, why are you here? Bai Ling finally thought of this and could not help but ask. I'm here to find a friend. Yun Luofeng curled the corners of her lips. I didn't expect to find you. Finding Bai Ling was just a pleasant surprise for her. Yun Luofeng had never thought that Bai Ling would still be alive. Feng'er, you can cultivate now? Bai Ling asked in disbelief as she felt the faint fluctuation of spiritual qi in Yun Luofeng's body. Under Bai Ling's expectant gaze, Yun Luofeng nodded slightly. Hearing the other's affirmative answer, Bai Ling felt a flash of joy in her heart. It's great that you can cultivate. Right, how is the enemy who hurt your second uncle now? As she spoke, Bai Ling's gaze turned cold. Her white robes fluttered like a fairy, but her murderous intent was clear. He's dead. Yun Luofeng shrugged. Also, second uncle has a second aunt now, and I have a cute cousin sister. It's a pity that you couldn't go back to attend their wedding ceremony. Yun Luofeng's words made Bai Ling feel happy. Qingye is married. Of course, that's great. It looks like I'll have to give my niece a gift when the time comes. As for not being able to attend the wedding, that's fine. As long as I can attend your wedding ceremony in the future, that's enough. Hearing this, Yun Luofeng raised her eyebrows. She was embarrassed to tell Bai Ling that she was also married. Little tiger, Bai Ling's face suddenly turned serious as she called out softly. The baby tiger howled and lay down beside Bai Ling's feet, as obedient as a kitten. Feng'er, this little tiger is the beast king of Nemesis Forest. I was lucky enough to save it and it has been following me ever since. From now on, I will hand over this little tiger and all the spiritual beasts of Nemesis Forest to you. You will be their only master. Although Bai Ling was very gentle with Yun Luofeng, when she gave orders to the little tiger, her beautiful face was full of seriousness. Xiao Hu, if you want to repay me for saving your life, then use your lives to protect Feng, or for me from now on. From now on, your master will only be her. Do you understand? The little tiger growled and used its tongue to lick the back of Yun Luofeng's hand as if to express its goodwill. Bai Ling's heart slowly heaved a sigh of relief. Even though you can cultivate now, your mother is still worried about you. Now, with these spiritual beasts of Nemesis Forest, they will be able to protect you on the cloudy continent. Chapter 1979. The blood-colored striped tiger was already at the ultimate god realm. Very few ultimate gods could defeat it. With its protection, Yun Luofeng would not be in any danger. That way, even if the poison were to break out, he would not have to worry about his daughter's life. Suddenly, a sneering voice came from the void. Bai Ling's expression changed when she heard the voice. I was curious why someone looks so much like you. Now it seems like there's a reason why you two look so alike. The man slowly descended from the void with his hands behind his back. His eerie eyes stared coldly at Bai Ling, who was in front of him. Junior sister, no wonder you were unmoved when I tried to be nice to you. It turns out that you're already married. The man slowly walked towards Bai Ling. He raised his chin slightly and said arrogantly, "Why can that man have you but I can't? I thought you were pure and turned a blind eye to my advances. It turns out that you're just a slut who has slept with someone else." Whoosh! Suddenly, a ray of light came toward the man's face. He dodged sideways and the sword light hit the tree behind him with a loud bang. In an instant, the entire tree trunk was flattened. Yun Luofeng was dressed in white and was as beautiful as snow. Compared to Bai Ling's ethereal aura, this woman had an extra evil aura. She looked proud as if she was looking down on the world. My mother doesn't like you because you're not as good as my father. The man's eyes narrowed as his killing intent was revealed. I'm not as good as that man. What a joke. I'm the leader of the Freedom Alliance. In the future, the entire Fengyun continent will belong to me. You're saying that I'm not as good as a dead man. Oh. Yun Luofeng raised her brows slightly. Sorry, I happen to be interested in the Fengyun continent. So. I'm afraid you won't be the ruler of the Fengyun continent. In an instant, the man's aura surged as he stared coldly at Yun Luofeng with stormy eyes. Little girl, do you want to die? A gust of wind blew from his body, and the entire sky became gloomy as dark clouds covered the blue sky. Feng watch out. Bai Ling hurriedly blocked Yun Luofeng as she looked at the man in front of her fearlessly. What's the use of threatening a child? You can't even beat me, yet you dare to compete with my husband. The man laughed out loud, and a gust of wind blew, causing the sky to change color. I can't beat you. Junior sister, if that's the case, why don't we have a competition right now? Bai Ling's lips curled into a sarcastic smile. If you can really defeat me, why did you poison me? Wait till I get rid of the poison, I will make you kneel and beg for mercy. Detoxification. The man disdainfully smiled. In this life, she cannot cure the poison. Of course, the man also knew that Bai Ling was just trying to provoke him into leaving this place. Unfortunately, he would not fall for her trick. Bai Ling, if you want your daughter to live, then come with me. Otherwise, I can crush her to death with one hand. The man proudly raised his chin and said expressionlessly. Bai Ling's expression darkened once again. She gave Little Tiger a look, indicating that she should quickly leave with Yun Luofeng. If he was the only one here, maybe Little Tiger could still fight. However, Bai Ling narrowed her eyes when she saw the few people descending from the void with the man. Chapter 1980. Ultimate Gods. These people were all ultimate gods. Little Tiger let out a mournful cry and looked at Bai Ling with a pair of reluctant eyes. Bai Ling's expression was very resolute. Her eyes were as clear as water, but she stared coldly at the man. You used the forbidden technique that Master left behind. Don't you know the consequences of this forbidden technique? Although anyone who was cast with the forbidden technique could break through to the ultimate god realm in a short time, they will die after 3 years. It was also because of this that Master did not create a large number of ultimate god experts to avoid harming the innocent. Her words were also meant for the group of people behind the man to hear. Who knew that those people's expressions did not change as if they did not hear Bai Ling's words? Bai Ling's heart sank little by little. Little Tiger finally made up his mind. He walked to Yun Luofeng's side and growled in a low voice. However, Yun Luofeng walked past Little Tiger and slowly walked toward Bai Ling. You go back and watch. Bai Ling was startled and looked a little anxious. Feng, what are you doing? Leave it to me. Yun Luofeng's expression was very firm. I won't allow anyone to insult you. Her voice was like a hammer that smashed hard on Bai Ling's heart. I won't allow anyone to insult you. Even if I know I'm not good enough, I will never back down. Feng, don't mess around. Bai Ling quickly regained her senses and anxiously pressed on the woman's shoulder. Leave with Little Tiger. With Little Tiger's strength, he will send you out safely. It's not too late for you to avenge your mother in the future. Yun Luofeng's hand slowly landed on the back of Bai Ling's hand and gently pushed it away. I've said that I won't allow anyone to insult you. Just like back then, it was clearly another country's emperor who was muddle-headed and tyrannical and took a fancy to Bai Ling, but the people slandered Bai Ling as a femme fatale. In order to suppress those voices, she did not hesitate to go on a killing spree and turn the entire imperial city into a river of blood. She would not allow anyone to insult her. Feng, Bai Ling's heart tightened when she saw Yun Luofeng walking toward the man. She wanted to chase after him, but she staggered and almost fell to the ground. A sense of helplessness invaded her heart. If it wasn't for this damned poison, she wouldn't be in such a passive position. Girl, the man lowered his head to look at Yun Luofeng and sneered, I won't be merciful to you on account of your mother. I also won't let you go just because you're my mother's senior brother, Yun Luofeng retorted. Instantly, the man's eyes darkened and there was a sinister glint in his eyes. Humph. I want to see how you won't let me off. Finished saying these words, he already strode forward towards Yun Luofeng. The group of ultimate gods behind him were also tempted but were stopped by the man's stern voice. It's just a little girl. I alone am enough to deal with her. I don't want others to say that I'm bullying her with numbers. At this moment, the man did not hold back at all. His aura was like a hurricane, bringing with it an oppressive aura. Under the strong wind, the woman's expression did not change. Her black eyes were calm, and her body was wrapped in a layer of dragon-scale armor. The snow-white armor reflected a cold light under the strong wind. Looking at Yun Luofeng, Bai Ling opened her mouth in shock. Her eyes were filled with shock. Divine Realm. His daughter had already reached the Divine Realm at such a young age. Divine Realm was one thing, but there were 10 ultimate gods in front of her.